This book is the three directions of behind-the-scenes black flow. This book is also known as, I've been banned from Douluo, did the system just come? A person in Douluo, serving as a fake eunuch and guardian of the Tiando Palace, instantly bound the system when breaking through the title Douluo. Just as Chen Yu was pondering who to start with, first Thousand Renxue, who was only one step away from completing the Tiando Palace transformation, walked in with great confidence and said, as long as Mr. Chen helps me, anything you want is fine. How about Pope Bibi Dan, the beauty of the Martial Soul Hall, I want. Qianren Shui. I treat you as a subordinate, do you want to be my stepfather? So far, Douluo's painting style has completely changed. Tang San, Xiao Wu, it's been 5 years now. Are you okay? Finally, I can come find you. Sleeping in bed, where's my lover? Tang Hao, the Heavenly Do Palace is too scary. I want to escape overseas, woo woo woo. Qian Daolu said, Ling Yuan, go and take a look. You must bring the young master back. Bibi Dong, the replacement plan has been completed, why is she still there? No, I have to go and see for myself. Tang Chen, no. My Cici. How can you sacrifice your life for others? Deep Sea Demon Whale King, encounter this person, run. You must run with your family. Don't turn your head back, don't ask me how I know. Woo woo woo. Is there any need to ask? The 200-meter-long deep-sea demon whale king is covered in densely packed caves, with no intact piece visible. The huge mouth is also twisted into a ball. Keywords of the novel. Douluo. Duozi Duofu starts from Qian Renxue without a pop-up window, Douluo. Duozi Duofu starts from Qian Renxue. Download the complete text. Douluo. Duozi Duofu starts from Qian Renxue. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. 1000 Renxue, Qinghe has always had 9 tripods in one word, and this statement comes from. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1. 1000 Renxue, Qinghe has always spoken with 9 tripods, so naturally take this statement seriously. Young master, all the guards of the Heavenly Do Palace have been replaced by our people, leaving only the guardian of the palace. In the Heavenly Do Palace. Cixi Douluo slightly arched his hand and respectfully said to Qianren Shui in front of him. It is said that the guardian's name is Chen Yu, who was a figure during the reign of Emperor Tiando. The oldest person in the entire palace, even Duozi, is not as experienced as him. It is also unknown whether he has already cultivated the title of Douluo in his 20 years of seclusion. Upon hearing these words, the snake spear Douluo on one side also furrowed his brow lightly and spoke, if we rashly enter and engage in battle with him, we are afraid we will disturb the 3-titled Douluo in Tiando City. Moreover, now that the 6 sacrifices and 7 sacrifices have left, relying solely on our strength, if discovered by Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo, we may not be able to protect the entire young lord anymore. How can one not be cautious about the importance that Qian Daolu attaches to Qian Renxue, especially when launching the Tiando Palace incident, which has only been a first-line plan for 20 years. Therefore, a few years ago, he dispatched 2 super Douluo, Qianjun subduing demons, to assist Qian Renxue, in case his plan was accidentally discovered by Jian Douluo and others during the journey and failed. However, with the annihilation of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family in a heavy blow to the 7 treasures and glass sect, the 4-titled Douluo in the Heavenly Do Empire, except for Duozi, all fell to the fate of 1 death, 1 disability, and 1 injury. Qian Douluo felt that this plan was foolproof, so he let Sigun Snake Spear, a pair of good friends who specialize in restraining Duozi, go and replace them with Qianjun to subdue the demon. Because he is now going to help Qianjun defeat the demons, and these 2 worshippers reach the peak of level 96, laying the groundwork for their future sprint to level 97. During the original Jialing Pass, these 2 brothers only reached the peak of level 96, it's okay. Qian Renxue chuckled lightly and said, this person is loyal to the heavenly Dou royal family, and it's just a plea. I believe that as long as we give him better conditions, he will still be a handsome person who knows current affairs. I'll go there myself." The pufferfish and snake spear looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. They arched their hands and said, "Young master, you are wise. If they really want to go over, in case of a fight, they won't be able to kill the palace guardian without alerting the 7 treasures and glass sect. Even after being alarmed, they couldn't guarantee that Thousand Renxue, the young master, would be able to withdraw smoothly. You guys go deal with the aftermath now, and then seal off the entire palace to avoid letting Duozi and others know in advance, understand?" Thousand Renxue, with her hands on her back, said calmly, "The 2 elders are staying this time to prevent Duozi, the poisoned Douluo. Don't give him a chance to attack our elite, understand?" "Understood." The 2 of them had a cold expression and spoke in unison. "I'll come right after I go." Speaking, Thousand Renxue headed towards the depths of the palace. In a desolate hall deep within the palace, Qianren let out a long breath, his face full of excitement. "It's been 20 years, and I've finally broken through from level 89 to level 90. As long as I take another soul ring, I can directly become a titled Douluo." 116 years ago, Qianren, who had just won the talent of Qinghe Qingcheng while playing the game Ba Huang, was overjoyed and crossed the river. He traveled to the Douluo continent and awakened an unknown axe martial soul. At the beginning, he had an innate soul power of level 30, which can be said to be the beginning of the Tianhu game. Just as he thought he was going to cheat on life, he was stunned by a painful reality. He, after 10 years of seclusion, only went from level 31 cultivation to level 32. P.S. The innate soul power is directly proportional to the cultivation speed. Don't worry, there will be an explanation later here. You know, this is still the case with 3 Millennium Soul Rings. Who believes that Nima speaks out? Not only that, after breaking through level 32, he felt like there were countless black holes in his body, and the soul power absorbed through cultivation was simply not enough to feed him, so he had to find another way out. Being a college teacher. No way, it could lead to human life. During the reign of Emperor Qian, the relationship between the 2 empires was tense. If there were not enough manpower to go to war, they would be captured and sent to fight. The college teacher who awakened Qianyu's martial soul before, and even this batch of martial soul awakening ceremonies have not yet been completed, was publicly captured and exiled, but this group of little ones have been scared and forced. That group of conscripts don't care how old your college teachers are. If the number is not enough, we'll catch you to join in. What? You said to go to the martial soul hall. Not to mention hastily leaving the jurisdiction of the empire, or if a strange soul master appears in a certain city, they will be regarded as spies and killed without anyone's supervision. Even if you can get to the martial soul hall, the result of joining is not much different from that of the college teachers, but there may be some extra compensation. During the reign of Emperor Qian, Qianyu estimates that his Qiandao Lu may still be a few years old doll. Even at this time, the martial soul hall was truly a pure gathering place for soul masters, just to gather the power of faith everywhere, without caring about the soul masters added under their hands. Join that well, become a believer, and then what should I do? It's just an additional identity of pretending to be coerced, it's useless. Not to mention, during the reign of Emperor Gaozu, there was chaos and chaos, with limited transportation. Qianyu didn't even know where the martial soul hall was at this time. Think twice. Qianyu has decided to take a risk and enter the palace. Because nowadays, only the palaces of the 2 great empires have the most impressive simulated cultivation environment. If Qianyu is allowed to level up on his own for 10 years, even if the experience points at each level are the same, he can live for 200 years. So, Qianyu can only cultivate to the Soul King at most. Then, with reverse thinking deduction, ask. Can Qianyu live to 200 years? No. During the reign of Emperor Qiando, the relationship between the two empires was tense. If there were not enough manpower to go to war, they would be captured and sent to fight. Even if the common soul masters could live to 50 years old, their ancestral graves would already be smoking. Moreover, during this period, there was only one type of people who were not requisitioned, and that is, those who joined the imperial family could not participate in the frontline wars. As a result, the only available spot for entering the palace now is the position of father-in-law. As for if he really gets stabbed, Qianren said he's not panicking either. Just wait for him to cultivate to the title Douluo, and then go directly to take down the blue-silver emperor soul bone. The spring breeze blows again, sigh. After all, he can't take a gamble. Can he live to be 600 years old and then become a title Douluo? Not to mention, with his talent of 16 years and 30.1 levels, joining the palace during this chaotic period will naturally be highly valued. I don't know if it's Qianren's good luck. In the year he entered the palace, the inner guard in charge of the main sword pigeon egg died suddenly for some reason, and no one came to take over this job afterwards. Even since then, eunuchs have never left the Qiando palace. In this way, Qianren was confused and entered the Qiando palace, the only nominal real eunuch, the so-called real fake eunuch. In order to avoid exposing his identity in being chased and wanted by the Qiando palace, Qianren directly chose to remain in unlimited seclusion and hardly showed himself in the palace. Fortunately, no major events have occurred in the past 100 years, so Qianren has never had any chance to appear. Additionally, as a young genius who has reached level 31 at the age of only 16, born at level 30 at the age of 6, and only rose to level 1 after 10 years of self-cultivation. After learning about his talent, the Heavenly Do ancestor also attached great importance to him, providing him with the best simulated training environment for Heavenly Do, which allowed Qianren to spend 80 years becoming an 89-level soul Douluo. Finally, he spent another 20 years in seclusion. In total, it took a full 110 years to move from level 31 to the current level 90 title Douluo. It's really not easy. Others can easily break through during the Soul Lord stage, but they have to face the black hole-like hole in their body, and it takes them 10 years of cultivation to further progress. Fortunately, he has the most developed simulated cultivation environment in the entire Qiando world. Otherwise, he felt like he might have already sent it before even breaking through. I don't know if my appearance will affect the original Qiando Palace transformation plan. Qianren thought, moreover, during the D period, a soul beast with a lifespan of 100,000 years can still hang and fight an ordinary Douluo title. Even Super Douluo, when encountering a 100,000-year-old soul beast alone, can only turn around and run away. Where should I find my 9th soul ring? How about joining the Martial Soul Hall? After all, only the Martial Soul Hall has the ability to hunt 100,000-year soul rings for me, and provide me with a more advanced simulated cultivation isolation room than the Heavenly Do Empire. The attention of the Qiando royal family was only given during the reign of Emperor Gaozu, but after seeing Qianren's breakthrough so slowly, they let it go. From the late Qiando Emperor to the current Qiando Snow Knight. During this period, neither emperor paid any attention to Qianren, and even these two emperors may not necessarily know him. So, for the Heavenly Do royal family, Qianren only has a trace of the affection he had for taking in and creating a simulated cultivation environment back then. This trace of kindness only allows Qianren to do his best to prevent the disappearance of the 4 characters of the Heavenly Do Empire from the Douluo continent, but I want him to sacrifice his life. I'm sorry. If Bol, who was the Heavenly Do ancestor back then, was still there, maybe it could be, but now these 2 descendants are not qualified enough. Just as the thought flashed by, a voice rang out in Qianren's mind. Ding dong, the system that has been delayed for 100 years has finally been bound to the host system. No, I'm already banned from Douluo. I'm standing at the top of the pyramid in the Soul Master realm. You stepped on the horse to give me the system. Is there a mistake? But 100 years late. Finally. Bound. For delayed compensation packages have been reissued to the host. Please check them carefully. The system seems to know that it will inevitably bleed 100 years later. Immediately, it was after Chen Yu's voice of roast fell down in his heart that it started again. Restore bone age and youth, reach the age of 18, recalculate lifespan, and become the youngest title Douluo in the Soul Master world. 100,000-year soul ring *1, 100,000-year soul bone *3. Divine level martial soul. Heavenly King Tower, retaining the host's talent 4, overturning the country and the city from the previous game, 8 wastelands. Thoroughly awaken the host's first martial soul and unleash its rightful abilities. Get it? It seems that this gift package, which came 100 years late, was already prepared. Either it's just an iron knot from beginning to end. Chen Yu didn't feel like he couldn't say anything more to this iron knot, so he immediately nodded and said, "Okay, it's okay." He doesn't admit that he has set his sights on the top-notch beauty talent from the 8 wildernesses, which is truly stunning. In an instant, Chen Yu only felt his skin heat up, and then his appearance instantly reached its peak, second only to the reader's stunning beauty. And in that moment, he also felt a tremendous change in his extremely difficult to cultivate first martial soul. The battle axe. My first martial soul turned out to be. No wonder it's so difficult to cultivate. At that time, Chen Yu was still puzzled. According to reason, his innate level 30 soul power should have been soaring and advancing all the way. Didn't he see Tang San's innate level 10 soul power so easy to cultivate in the original work? But unfortunately, he felt that the soul power required by his martial soul was like a black hole, and it was not saturated enough to fill it up. It was too pit. After the awakening of the system, he immediately felt the power of his first martial soul. The projection of Pangu Kaitian Divine Axe. Pangu Kaitian Axe. The legendary treasure of creation in mythology. Although his martial soul is only a molecule after the power of the projection of Pangu's divine axe, which means he may only have 1/8 of his abilities. But the energy required for this is not something that the world of fantasy sewers can provide. No wonder it took him 120 years to obtain the title Douluo, thanks to the mimicry cultivation room created by Tiando's overwhelming power. Mind reaches this point. Chen Yu looked at the battle axe he was holding in his right hand, which was pitch black and full of runes. The runes on top of it were slowly emitting different colors of light. Finally, a red light flashed across the entire pitch-black axe, as if it had come to life. At this moment, Chen Yu had a feeling of splitting open the entire Tiando Palace with an axe. Although his Pangu heavenly axe is only slightly exceeding the standard of 3 purple, 5 black, and 1 red, he still feels invincible. P.S. Innate level 30 soul power can increase cultivation efficiency, but unfortunately, the energy required for martial souls is too large, and they cannot absorb much energy in the sewer plane. Therefore, it is very difficult to cultivate. Putting away his martial soul, Chen Yu's heart moved and he said, "System, let me introduce your functions." This system is a multi-child and multi-blessing system. As long as the host marries and has children, they will receive rewards, including but not limited to soul power enhancement, rare soul bones, and celestial props. System purpose. Only you can't think of anything, there are no rewards that cannot be obtained. Hush. This sounds very tempting. What's so tiring from fighting and killing? Can you still practice in seclusion for 80 or 90 years like before? What a joke. This lying flat as a biological child can still enhance strength and obtain rare items. Isn't riding a horse fragrant? Of course, Chen Yu is also very picky when it comes to choosing a partner. He can't just bring someone over on the street. So, Chen Yu fell into contemplation and said, "So, as my first wife, who should I choose better?" Just at this moment, a faint laugh rang from outside the palace door. Qinghe has seen Mr. Chen before. Is it convenient for him at this time? Qinghe has something to ask for. Qinghe. Chen Yu was momentarily taken aback and immediately realized that this was the voice of Thousand Renxue. Shui Qinghe won't live past 10 years old, and the age at which he heard this voice. So, the Tiando usurpation plan has already begun. Is this Qianren Snow? My mind reaches this point. Chen Yu smiled and said, I was just thinking about who to take first, but you brought it to your door yourself. It's really effortless to find a place to break through the iron shoes without any effort. Jie jie jie. Qian Renxue, who had just pushed the door and entered, coldly hit a cicada. She looked around in confusion, but didn't find anything, did she? Strange, why is there an inexplicable coolness? Qian Renxue touched her nose, suppressed her confusion, and walked into the palace with a gentle smile on her face. Chen Lao. She was just preparing a speech. After all, no matter how old the palace guardian was, he was already over 100 years old, and calling him Mr. Chen was just for the sake of it. Just. When she saw Chen Yu with a youthful expression on her face, she was instantly stunned. Sleeping slot. Who is this person? So handsome, carefree, and handsome. She didn't know that even without the Qinghe Qingcheng in 8 Wastelands, Chen Yu's appearance was still at its peak. Even many princesses and princesses in the imperial palace secretly saw him off, but unfortunately, after learning that he was a father-in-law, he lost interest. Perhaps, the death of the chief internal guard who was in charge of swords and pigeons in the past was due to Chen Yu's peak beauty and handsomeness. And now, with the blessing of pouring the country and the city, it is completely a dimensionality reduction attack on this fantasy sewer world. Not to mention her, even the title Douluo and the deities dare not claim to be completely immune. What can I do for you? Chen Yu looked at Qian Renxue with great interest, wondering if it was due to the second awakening of his martial soul. After concentrating, he was able to see through the disguise of Qian Renxue and directly witness her true face. Hello, hello. Qian Renxue took a deep breath and suppressed the palpitating heart that had only left blood for the 6-winged angel. He said in a warm voice, Director Chen, it's like this. Currently, various forces within the empire are vying for power. As the crown prince, Qinghe feels obligated to unify all forces to focus on resisting the invasion of the Star Luo Empire and the peeping of the martial soul hall. I don't know if Manager Chen can lend me a hand. Is the power of a single shot feasible? Qian Renxue. What the hell? She was momentarily stunned, and then felt that her words were inappropriate. She felt that Chen Yu might be asking for benefits. After a little joy in her heart, she immediately said, as long as Director Chen can assist me, with his qualifications and abilities, he will definitely become my right-hand man in the future. Money, beauty, status, even the soul rings and bones you need, even the genius dungeons that can increase your lifespan, have no problem. Qinghe needs talents like General Manager Chen to help me build the Tiando Empire together. In her opinion, although Chen Yu seemed to be returning to his youth at this moment, she also knew that even the title Douluo had a day to go to bed, and no one was afraid of death. As expected. After her words fell, Chen Yu's unexpected eyes lit up and he said, Are you serious about this? Qinghe has always been known for his eloquence, so naturally take this statement seriously. How about I want the beauty of Pope Bibi Don in the martial soul hall? Qianren Shui. Hasty. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. I want you, Qian Renxue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. I want you, Qian Renxue. Qianren Snow Honey Juice confidently said, as long as General Manager Chen helps me, whatever you want is not a problem. How about I want the beauty of Pope Bibi Don in the martial soul hall? Qianren Shui. The confident smile on her pretty face also solidified instantly. I treat you like my left shoulder and right arm, do you want to be my stepfather when you step on a horse? Get lost. She suppressed the urge to curse, her face twitched slightly, and slowly said, this matter is a bit difficult. After all, the strength of the martial soul palace pope is unpredictable. Of course, if General Manager Qian followed me first, he may not have grown to this extent in the future. Hold on, hold on. Hold back for now. This is the imperial palace. If there is a conflict with Qin Yu, it is easy for others to notice. When you leave Tiando City, you can teach him a lesson, and even kill him to vent your anger. This Qin Yu is really a talent. At the thought of what he just said, Thousand Renxue's mouth twitched, his heart rose, and then said, but in advance, Qinghe can give Manager Qian a piece of 100,000-year soul bone as a gift. How about drawing pancakes? Qin Yu rolled his eyes and casually said, I don't need soul bones now, I just need beauties. Thousand Renxue's eyes lit up and she spoke up, if General Qian really wants it, Qinghe can find a way to help you bring the Holy Maiden of the Martial Soul Hall, Hulina, as a gift to General Qian. Hulina. That white-eyed wolf who disregards the nurturing kindness of the Martial Soul Hall. Forget it. Qin Yu's mouth twitched. He is not the kind of creature that simply thinks in the lower half of his body. This kind of white-eyed wolf may stab you in the back at some point. It seemed that she was not interested in seeing Qin Yu's face, and Thousand Renxue's eyebrows also furrowed slightly. After a moment of contemplation, she asked, however, as far as Qinghe knows, General Manager Qian is not perfect either. Can you explain why it is necessary to compare with Bibi Dong? She suddenly remembered that this palace guardian seemed to be the last eunuch of the reign of Emperor Tiando, also known as the one without a perfect body. Qin Yu's face showed a smile, what do you say? He certainly wouldn't tell Thousand Renxue directly, after all, he was also a bit confused about this matter. He didn't know why the guy who held the knife for him suddenly died suddenly, but it didn't matter anymore. It has been so long and there is no evidence to prove it. So, why don't General Manager Qian make a different request first? Thousand Renxue saw Qin Yu's expression and had some vague speculations in her heart. She was also very witty and didn't ask again. With her brain, she must have guessed that Qin Yu might have avoided cutting for some reason. Otherwise, how could she be interested in beauty? It was precisely because of this thought that she felt that she could win over Qin Yu. With a fleeting thought in his heart, Thousand Renxue heard Qin Yu speak again, it's also possible for me to help you, but you have to agree to 4 conditions. Previously, he had no way out and couldn't hunt down the 100,000-year-old soul beast. That's why he wanted to join the Martial Soul Hall, but now, with the system in place, he's still hunting a chicken feather. Isn't this system just lying flat for him? Director Qian, please speak up. After hearing Qin Yu's offer of conditions, Thousand Renxue was taken aback and immediately overjoyed. She's afraid that Qin Yu won't make any demands. As long as she is willing to join her camp by offering conditions, she will naturally not go to great lengths to eliminate this person. Now taking the initiative to speak has saved her a lot of energy. As long as she agrees to this condition, she still worries about not joining, right? The first one is that you need to find a way to bring Bibi Dong, I want her. Thousand Renxue. I take back what I just said. Also, when you leave Tiando City, I will kill you as soon as possible. Mudun, I treat you like my left shoulder and right arm. Do you want to be my stepfather? The second condition. Qin Yu summarized the current timeline, which should be before the gathering of the 7 monsters and 5 years. However, the exact time is currently uncertain. He is not sure if Tang San is in the Moon Pavilion or has returned to the Haotian sect at this time. Going further, the 7 Treasures Glass sect was severely damaged, the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family was destroyed, and a certain 3 went to the Star Do Forest to find Xiao Wu. However, seeing that Thousand Renxue is still in the palace, it is obvious that Tang San has not yet found Xiao Wu and participated in the Tiando Palace incident. Therefore, it seems that it is not too late. My mind reaches this point. He pondered for a moment before speaking. You're going to the core area of the Star Forest to catch a 100,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit. Of course, I must go with you. Thousand Renxue frowned. The capture of the 100,000-year-old soul beast may require the mobilization of many tidal Douluo, but a 100,000-year soul beast. She guessed that Qianren in front of her had broken through to level 90, just in need of a 100,000-year soul ring. Thinking of this, she immediately smiled and said, "No problem. General Manager Qian, please mention the third and fourth conditions." The third condition. Chen Yu's face showed a deeply different smile, and his words startled everyone. In the moment he spoke, Thousand Renxue was completely stunned. "I want you, Thousand Renxue. Thousand Renxue. At the moment of hearing these words, her face froze in vain and completely stiffened. How could it be? How could he possibly know about me? Thousand Renxue is completely confused. Her previous smile, which had appeared on her face, was completely shattered at this moment. She widened her eyes in disbelief and looked at Qian Yu in front of her, only feeling the buzzing of her brain, as if she had been hit hard, looking at Qian Yu in disbelief. "I'm completely numb. How did this person know her secret?" Fortunately, she had been an insider for 20 years and quickly calmed down. Immediately, she snapped, "What are you talking about? Manager Qian, have you been closed for a long time and forgotten to clear the river?" Although that's the case, at this moment she has quietly activated her soul power, ready to take down Qian Yu at any time. In her opinion, although Qian Yu has been in seclusion for a long time, she is probably just a soul warrior. She has also reviewed Qian Yu's files, and it can be said that his martial soul is not very strong. With the strength of her six-winged angel, she is confident in defeating Qian Yu alone. Qian Yu didn't panic at all and said calmly, "I only want a beauty now." "You are a beauty yourself, so why not join forces?" Thousand Renxue smiled and shook her head. "General Manager Qian, you've been in seclusion for too long and forgotten about Qinghe. It is obvious that she does not want to be exposed, or rather lacks chips." Qian Yu was not in a hurry at all. He spoke softly and said something that startled Thousand Renxue again. "I not only know that you are the daughter of Qianxuan disease and the young master of the martial soul hall, Qian Renxue, but also know that you poisoned the Snow Knight Emperor and are eager to ascend to the throne." Almost the moment when words fall. Thousand Renxue's pupils suddenly shrank, his face turned cold, and without saying a word, he directly attacked Qian Yu. This is the biggest secret of the martial soul hall all along. For the sake of her safety, the biggest secret must not be leaked until the plan is completed. So. At the moment when Qian Yu spoke out, her eyes lit up with murderous intent. This person cannot stay. What's good about fighting and killing? Qian Yu was not surprised at all. When he said these words, he knew that Thousand Renxue would be completely unable to sit still. This is also in his plan. Without using force to defeat Thousand Renxue, how could she be so honest with you and treat you honestly? Immediately. He struck with a backhand axe, with a powerful momentum, accompanied by his terrifying soul ring configuration of 3 purple, 5 black, and 1 red, pouring out. With just one glance, he defeated Qianren Snow and landed heavily on the ground. She covered her chest and struggled to stand up again. She looked at Qian Yu's dazzling soul ring in disbelief, her face full of disbelief. How could that be? How could your first soul ring be 1,000 years old? Your fourth soul ring is 1,000 years old. She thought that there was only one special case in the world, Tang San, who was a hero with a black ring appearing in the fourth soul ring for 10,000 years. However, she never expected that the hidden guardian of the palace in front of her. The first soul ring was purple. This is not in the river. And what she didn't expect even more was This palace guardian has already broken through to the title Douluo, and even possesses a soul ring that is 100,000 years old. No, I'm not a match. Thousand Renxue was deeply aware that the gap between her as a soul saint and the title Douluo could not be bridged, let alone a title Douluo with a 100,000-year soul ring. Even if she wanted to send a signal to notify the cigar and snake spear. Just as her thoughts flashed, she felt a sudden roar around her, as if the earth was shaking like a mountain, shaking her dizzy and completely unconscious. What's going on? The prickly porpoise and snake spear, who were blocking the entrance to the palace, felt the earth shake like tremors. They exchanged a glance, both stunned, and then turned around, their eyes somewhat skeptical. Could it be that the young master encountered danger? After a moment of thought, Snake Spear Douluo shook his head and said, "It's impossible. The last time that Palace Guardian left the palace was 20 years ago, and at that time he was a level 89 soul Douluo. I estimate that from now on, he is just a title Douluo without the 9th soul ring." As soon as these words were spoken, Tsigu Douluo couldn't sit still and said, "Then you still say it's impossible? That's a title Douluo. The young master is just a soul saint, how can he resist it?" For the big fuss about the pufferfish, Snake Spear Douluo just smiled and shook his head, "Pufferfish, you're too much of a fuss. That Qianyu's martial soul is just a tattered axe. In terms of quality, he can't even be considered a top-level martial soul, let alone he has been in the heavenly Do Palace for so many years without even soul bones. How can he be a match for the young lord? Moreover, as the young master mentioned before, if there is an accident, a signal will definitely be sent out. Even though his martial soul is so useless, it is still a living title Douluo," said Tsigu Douluo, feeling somewhat uneasy. "Young master, she's just a soul saint. It's easy for him to stop young master from sending signals." Snake Spear Douluo was also a bit flustered by his words and interrupted him immediately, "Let's go and take a look." The two of them walked towards the depths of the palace together, and soon pushed open the door and entered this deep palace. Just as soon as they entered the door, they saw a dense array of axes rushing towards them, as if predicting that they would open the door in that moment. Damn it! There is an ambush. The two of them changed their faces greatly, but in the moment of the electric light and flint, they had no time to dodge and could only hastily activate their martial souls in an attempt to resist. But strangely, the small axe that flew towards them shattered with a sound like an egg hitting a stone. What's going on? Just as the two of them were showing doubts and confusion, a sudden feeling as if they had been hit hard rushed into their heads. At this moment, the whole person also felt like their head was about to tear apart from their body, falling into a state of unconsciousness. Pangu Axe's 4th soul skill. 10,000 axes throw out. Within 1 second, 10,000 small axes are thrown out to attack a designated area. Its speed is like a meteor chasing the moon, and it comes with a powerful spiritual impact. After the Pangu axe is unsealed, this soul skill greatly reduces soul power fluctuations, making it difficult for opponents to detect unless at close range. Every individual unit hit by 10 small axes within 3 seconds will fall into a daze. Unable to move for the lowest 1 second, unable to move for the highest 10 seconds, but the physical damage is almost zero, making it difficult to detect. Now, there are no worries at all. Qianyu took a leisurely step with his hands on his back, but strangely appeared behind the two men. While sealing their soul power and martial spirit, he tied them into zongzi and threw them aside like garbage. Although his soul power at this moment is only at level 91, with the blessing of a creation-level martial soul like the Pangu axe, it is completely effortless to instantly kill two hasty and unguarded most useless title Douluo. This pair of good friends also woke up at the moment, but their martial souls and soul power were sealed, and their mouths were also stuffed with smelly socks. They could only watch Qianyu enter the sleeping hall, in front of Thousand Renxue. In the sleeping hall, Thousand Renxue, who was knocked unconscious by the Heavenly King Tower and thrown onto his bed by Qianren, has now woken up. At this moment, she no longer had the confident smile on her face as before, and looked at Qianren with a slightly ugly expression. What do you want? She boasted of being amazing, never realizing that she had overturned a car in the hands of a palace steward, who was actually a titled Douluo with a 100,000-year soul ring. I knew so. She should have invited Qianjun to subdue the demon before coming here to see Qianyu. Your Highness Thousand Renxue, how about it? The fact that the pufferfish and snake spear were captured alive was also brought to Thousand Renxue's attention. At this moment, her face was extremely gloomy. The winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. I have nothing to say. Kill or cut, as you please. After hearing Thousand Renxue's words of death, Qianyu smiled and shook his head. Actually, who did you poison? It doesn't matter to me. I still said, promise me 4 conditions, in the future you will be the emperor, and I will be my 9,000 years old. Now, all I need is you. End of this chapter. Chapter 3 Expecting Famous Scenes. Little dance, how can I live without you? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Expectation Scene. How can I live without you? Thousand Renxue's gaze froze for a moment, then turned back to Qianyu, somewhat surprised. She is already the fish on the chopping board now, so there is no need for the other party to lie at this time. So, is this person really interested in themselves? But how did he know about his existence? With this question in mind, Thousand Renxue looked at Qianyu again, just as she was about to ask. But for the first time, he met his handsome and charming peak with a face full of tears and ghosts. In an instant, the whole person was stunned, and a hint of red couldn't help but appear on his pretty face, and he couldn't help but lower his head. There's a play. Think about it, when we have children together, our inseparable unity will surely be loyal to each other, far beyond the comparison of those elders in the martial soul hall. Qianyu took advantage of the heat and said, by then, our children will not only be the future pope of the martial soul hall, but also the emperor of the heavenly Dou Empire. Finally, with our joint efforts, our husband and wife destroyed the Star Luo Empire and unified the entire Douluo continent. The entire continent is full of angelic believers, isn't it beautiful? Upon hearing this, Thousand Renxue's heart was filled with heat. After a moment of thought, he realized that he was truly right. As long as she is with Qianyu and has children in the future, the other party cannot betray her, and even have to follow her for a lifetime, obedient and honest. So, why don't you agree to him? Thousand Renxue pondered for a while before finally making a decision. She lifted her head again, but her disguise had been lifted, revealing her stunning appearance and delicate blonde hair. I can promise you, but I want to know, how did you know about this intelligence? This is also where she is curious and puzzled. In the current martial soul hall, apart from the 7 major offerings in the temple, only the Tsigu, snake spear, and Bibi Dong were aware of her existence. However, how did Qianyu, who was still living in the palace's second gate, know of her existence and what her plan was? Thousand Renxue, who has been planning for 20 years, is very clear about the importance of intelligence. Although Qishuan was defeated by Qianyu, she still couldn't understand her own information. How did the other party know about this? Not only do I know about this, but I also know that you plan to win over someone named Tang Yin, right? Thousand Renxue's face was taken aback for a moment, and she nodded somewhat unexpectedly. That's right, you. But there's one thing you overlooked. Qianyu interrupted her and said calmly, Tang Yin is actually Tang San, Tang Hao's son. What are you saying? This. Thousand Renxue's face changed greatly. Just as she was about to say something, she was interrupted by Qianyu. Tang Yuehua is Tang Hao's sister, the youngest daughter of the old leader of Haotian sect back then. Due to her innate soul power, she is not known to anyone. The old patriarch of Haotian sect only has 3 sons under his command, and Tang Xiao never married him in his lifetime. Do you think Tang San, or Tang Yin, is his son? Xian Renxue's face changed, but then returned to normal. So what? He should have nothing to do with the palace, right? Bring him in. Before she could finish speaking, Qianyu interrupted her and said, Tang San is very proficient in the art of poison. If you have searched for his intelligence, you should also know that he is very close to Duozi and has sold a weapon of the 7 treasures of the glass sect, right? This is quite good. If it weren't for Tang San's hidden weapon, the 7 treasures glass sect would have been destroyed along with the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family. Qian Renxue nodded after pondering for a moment. Her words also instantly made Qianyu understand the current timeline, before the sacrifice of the rogue rabbit. However, it is estimated that Tang San is still on his way to the Star Forest after all. The Star Forest is extremely large, and it's not possible to reach the core area in just 2 or 3 days. Besides, he remembers Tang San meeting a group of people from the Martial Soul Hall in the Star Forest in the original work. However, this is not a big deal, is it? Qianren Shui frowned lightly and said, when Snow Knight dies, things. Turning to her senses, Qianyu looked at Qianren Shui and interrupted her honey confidence. Not long after, Tang Sanhui went to defeat the clan and gathered Yang Wudi. He was a master proficient in herbal research, and he himself was a powerful attack-type soul Douluo with a martial soul no less than that of Haotian hammer. The 2 wastes you left behind now, combined with your honey confidence, have completely ruined your plans for the past 20 years. When Qian Renxue's pupils shrank and she was about to say impossible, suddenly her mouth heated up and her pupils almost shrunk into pinholes. She struggled to retreat, but with Qianyu's strength, how could she break free? After a full minute, Qian Renshue's face turned red and her beautiful eyes almost burned as she looked at Qianyu in front of her, wanting to question something. However, she was afraid that the other person would take advantage of her opening mouth to kiss him deeply, which scared her to cover her mouth and look at him angrily. Now, you already know, isn't it time to fulfill my conditions? Qian Renshue's body trembled as she blushed, without any response, but her gaze was conflicted and slightly unwilling. Qianyu is not in a hurry either. For this Qian Renxue, what he needs is not to walk his kidneys, but to pour the other person's love brain into himself. This way, when facing any other time, Qian Renxue will remain calm and disorganized. Well, he is so calm and resourceful. So, if someone like you, who owns a divine martial soul, wants to pass on your martial soul, they must need a husband who is also a dragon among people. Am I right? Upon hearing this, Qian Renxue nodded, indeed correct. You have also seen my strength and talent, as well as my twin martial souls. What do you think? This made Qian Renxue couldn't help but think of Qin Yuexian's ability to instantly kill the prickly porpoise and snake spear in his previous move, as well as his unheard of 3 purple, 5 black, and 1 red terrifying soul ring configuration, causing a slight movement in his heart. Is it difficult? There is an unknown force behind this palace guardian. You know. How few soul masters in the entire Douluo continent today possess a 100,000-year soul ring. And how powerful is the 100,000-year soul beast? As far as she knew, besides the martial soul hall, there was only one soul master with a 100,000-year soul ring, Tang Hao. Moreover, his wife's 100,000-year soul ring was obtained by sacrificing to heaven. If we really want to hunt down the 100,000-year-old soul beasts, then at least 3 or even more titled Douluo soldiers need to be deployed, otherwise a slight mistake may lead to a complete defeat. Qianren Shui is more and more frightened as she thinks about it. In the end, she couldn't help but hold her breath and nodded in agreement, saying, your strength is very strong, your martial soul is also very strong, and the soul ring configuration is also excellent. Even in the future, your second martial soul may contain 9 100,000-year soul rings. At this point, her breathing was stagnant and she couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. 900,000-year soul rings. This is the most unparalleled configuration in the entire Soul Master world. She couldn't imagine how strong Qian Yu would be at that time. So you say. As a father who possesses twin martial souls and an innate level 30 soul power, and with the possession of divine martial souls, you should be your mother. How strong will our children be in terms of talent? Upon hearing this, Thousand Renxue was momentarily stunned, her face revealing contemplation. Gradually, her beautiful eyes lit up. The inheritance of the angel lineage is extremely difficult. Douluo was also known for his numerous romantic pursuits, but in the end, he only had one son, Qianren. Why is this? It's their six-winged angel martial soul, too strong. Without considerable talent and strength, it is impossible to pass it on. That's also why, when Qiandaolu was already quite old, he had to go find Poseidon because Poseidon's martial soul was also a divine product. The combination of two divine martial souls may produce even more powerful divine martial souls. Look at her father Qinshuan's illness again. I adopted Bibidong for no reason, and even managed to eat, wear, and tear. Why is this? For the sake of calling you godfather or teacher. Of course, it's for the inheritance of angels. However, back then, Qinshuan only listed Bibidong as one of the inheritors. After all, he didn't want to bear the reputation of the avian master, so he was still looking for other qualified inheritors. However, he never expected such a thing to happen, which ultimately made him helpless and ruthless. These things were told to her by her grandfather Qiandaolu himself, to warn her of the importance of inheriting the six-winged angel martial soul, and it was also the mission of their family. So when I heard Qian Yu's last sentence, innate 30-level soul power, Thousand Renxue was completely touched and her heart was filled with expectations. The combination of a martial soul with innate level 20 soul power and a martial soul with innate level 30 soul power. This child born is probably unique in the entire continent, isn't it? Thinking of this, Thousand Renxue's gaze suddenly became fiery. Looking at Qian Yu's handsome and graceful appearance in the prosperous era, her face immediately turned red again and fell into Qian Yu's arms. Fortunately, Thousand Renxue is a big sister. If she were a bit more inexperienced, she probably just relied on one mission. It's really not easy to deceive. Qian Yu thought as her palm flipped over the river and into the sea, and Thousand Renxue's face turned red. She felt like she was being squeezed into his shape, woo. The pufferfish and snake spear outside the door, upon sensing the movement inside the dormitory, suddenly changed their faces and tried hard to call for help. But at the moment, how could they break free with their mouth stuffed with smelly socks and tied into zongzi? It's all my fault, it's too careless. Who would have expected this palace guardian to be so strong? Stop talking, rescuing the young master is the top priority now. The two were unable to speak and could only communicate with each other through eye contact. However, Qian Yu was so tightly bound that they couldn't break free and could only wait in prison for the sound inside to descend from low to high like an electrocardiogram, eventually becoming a parallel line. Congratulations to the host for successfully getting married. She has married for the first time and is an important female lead in Douluo. Her rewards have doubled. System Space, Celestial Crystal, Supreme Traditional Chinese Medicine, 1 Soul Ring for 100,000 years, 3,000 Thunder Movements, and Broken Soul Stones. Host already has offspring, please pay attention to protecting the offspring and distribute rewards after giving birth. System Space, capable of storing all non-living objects. Celestial Crystal can be used to evolve martial souls, but now Qian Yu's 2 martial souls are already strong enough. If he continues to evolve, it is estimated that he will not be able to level 1 in 100 years, the required energy is too huge, and the energy of the sewer surface is too weak, so it should be temporarily placed in the system space. The supreme level of traditional Chinese medicine is said to be a technique that can make bones and flesh grow. It can consume soul power, transform qi into needles, and save people. In theory, as long as it has not died on the spot, it can be saved. This is much stronger than Douluo's healing soul master. There's nothing to say about the 100,000-year soul ring, it's directly applied to the second martial soul. The Heavenly King Tower. 3,000 thunderbolts, a body technique and combat technique that breaks through the world. Qinghe estimated that with this body technique in hand, he could even stand his middle finger in front of the 7 ferocious beasts in the starry forest and run back unscathed. Soul-shattering stone, capable of breaking a soul ring of a soul master and reabsorbing it. This can also be used by Thousand Renxue. After all, she worked very hard just now and it was too hard. Why not reward her with a 100,000-year soul ring? This wave of blood earned. After 10 months, there will be another wave of rewards and one's own good child. This is what lying flat should be like. Thinking of this, Qinghe hugged Thousand Renxue in his arms, who couldn't help but rub her belly. His gaze also tended to be gentle, and he whispered, "Let's go, we should go to the star forest." Oh. Upon hearing these words, Thousand Renxue was taken aback for a moment, and then remembered Qinghe's second condition before. She nodded and said, "Do you want to go to the martial soul hall to shake people now?" She felt that dealing with a 100,000-year-old soul beast, just 3 title Douluo, might be a bit difficult. No need. Qinghe smiled and said, "This time, I will also give you a 100,000-year soul ring and a 100,000-year soul bone." There are systems around now, and Qinghe doesn't even need to take the soul bones of the Douluo continent world anymore. Maybe there will be Do armor or stronger soul bones at that time. This. Thousand Renxue's face was somewhat moved, and her breath was stagnant. You should know, that's a soul bone that has been around for 100,000 years. The entire martial soul hall doesn't even have a single inventory. But this person, this bad guy just gave it to her so easily. Thinking of this, Thousand Renxue couldn't help but lift her head to look at Qinghe. Under the latter's innate talent for the 8 wildernesses, Thousand Renxue couldn't help but be fascinated by it. "It's time to come back to my senses, little angel. When I come back tonight, I'll show you enough." Thousand Renxue suddenly regained his senses, his face flushed, and he snorted, "I'm not looking." It seems that after entering a certain relationship, she couldn't help but act coquettishly. When she regained her senses, she quickly avoided Qinghe's embrace, dressed neatly again, and restored the original face of Qinghe. If I'm not mistaken, there are already 2 titled Douluo with a group of soul saints entering the starry forest now. Thousand Renxue was stunned, unaware of this action, and immediately asked, "Which 2 titles Douluo?" "You don't need to ask about this." Qinghe smiled mysteriously and said, "But I can guarantee that they will eventually come back defeated." Thousand Renxue understood instantly. Is it because of Tang San, or rather, Tang Yin? Smart. Qinghe's face showed a smile. "I just don't know if when Tang goes to the star forest and discovers that his beloved is missing, he will fall into Xiao Wu, how can I live without you?" End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Xiao Wu, this person dares to harm my part, I have already taken it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Xiao Wu, if this person dares to harm my part, there is already a way to take death. He should be executed. Starry Forest. The Lake of Life. Xiao Wu, dressed in a white dress, sat quietly under a big tree, holding her knees in both hands and staring at the lake water in a daze. She murmured, 5 years ago, 3 cuts, do you still remember me? Upon hearing these words, Titan Monkey Erming behind her couldn't help but say, "Little dance sister, I really don't understand. How could you have a crush on a human? When you transformed and left, you said you wanted to go to the human world to find Auntie Rose's enemy. Is that already revenge?" Upon hearing these words, Xiao Wu's face slightly changed and she felt a bit uneasy. However, shortly after, she also spoke up, "It's okay, I've found it, but our strength is not enough yet, so we need to rely on human help." In all these years at Shrek, she had learned nothing but love and sophistry in her mind. Among them, the love brain was born with awakening and sophistry. Naturally, those who are close to the ink are black, learning from her dear three-cut. So. The Titan ape scratched his head. He had never been to a human soul master, but he also knew that humans are cunning and that dealing with them really requires a long-term plan. He immediately said, "If you need our help then, just speak up." "I know." Xiao Wu nodded and couldn't help but mutter to herself, "San Gua, don't worry, when I mature, I will definitely go find you." "You don't need to mature, you can actually go now." Just as her murmuring fell, a light laugh suddenly sounded, instantly startling the Titan ape. He shouted, "Who? Who dares to break into the star forest? What do you think?" With a light laugh, Chen Yu's figure suddenly appeared on the branch of the big tree behind Xiao Wu. Under the 3,000 thunderbolts he unleashed, the 300,000-year-old soul beasts present could not have detected his trace at all. At this moment, he looked down at Xiao Wu from a high position and smiled, "Why don't you come with me and I'll take you to see your dear senseo?" Human. The Titan ape's face turned cold, and without saying a word, he picked up a fist as big as a clay pot and threw it towards Chen Yu on the tree. At the same time, the powerful gravitational field also activated it. "It's too late." Chen Yu smiled slightly, but did not see any movement from him. As the fist as big as a clay pot exploded, an extremely large black divine tower suddenly surged out. Only a loud roar was heard, instantly enveloping the little dance. In just an instant, the surrounding area of the Lake of Life lost its aura of the little dance. At the same time, the landing Heavenly King Tower also rapidly expanded and enlarged at this moment, finally blocking the attack of the Titan ape with a fist as big as a clay pot and Chen Yu. Title Douluo. The Titan ape's face suddenly changed, and his lantern-sized eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Humans, go die. If you dare to catch his little dance sister, you are looking for death. Seeking death is not enough." Chen Yu put away the Heavenly King Tower, but the little dance under the big tree was nowhere to be seen. This is a skill inherent in the Heavenly King Tower, which can be understood as a natural soul skill, equivalent to a type of self-created soul skill. It can capture and imprison the target, just like the suppression and reception of the monkey sun in the myth of Journey to the West. "We'll see each other again, don't worry." After capturing the target, Chen Yu had no intention of staying here any longer. He smiled slightly and was about to leave when suddenly he felt his movements becoming sluggish. It was the Tianqing bull python daming at the bottom of the lake who made a move. Delayed field. "Hey, that's it. Do you also want to keep me sleepy?" Chen Yu chuckled and shook his head, casually pulling out a black and ink-like pangu axe that emitted a terrifying aura of destruction and creation. At the same time, the seventh soul ring behind him shone out. Martial Soul True Body, Pangu Axe. Title Douluo. "Damn it, stop him." As soon as the sky blue bull python emerged from the water, it also felt the aura brought by this terrifying axe, and its entire eyes were filled with fear. Without hesitation, it quickly withdrew from the field and used its strongest defense to resist this blow. The Titan ape also quickly retreated and made a lightning-fast defense. Unexpectedly, as the true body of this weapon soul split into the air, it was heading in the opposite direction to them. With just one strike, the mountains and the earth split in an instant, overturning countless trees. "Oh no, this cunning human is going to escape." Tianqing bull python was taken aback and quickly headed in that direction, but where else could Chen Yu be seen on the ground? "Damn it, this cunning human." The Titan ape, who quickly followed up afterwards, was so angry that he used his fists the size of a clay pot to angrily hammer his chest. "Don't worry, this human must not be able to run far, let's chase after it." After Tianqing bull python calmly spoke, the several long snake bodies were the first to head in that direction. Upon seeing this, the Titan ape quickly stepped up and said, "Big brother, wait for me." After these two good friends leave, the figures of Qinghe, Thousand Renxue, Douluo, and Snake Spear Douluo finally emerged from a cave. "So, that's it." Thousand Renxue looked at Qinghe with some confusion and said, "Are you planning to use her as your second soul ring for your second martial soul?" Qinghe's previous move of directly capturing Xiaowu left her completely stunned. You should know that Wang Shenta didn't have any soul rings that day, but could withstand a punch from the Titan ape. After seeing this scene, Thousand Renxue felt even more and more that she had found a treasure, earning blood. "What? You said she lost?" No, she's trying to buy people's hearts. Now that Qinghe has boarded her pirate ship and welded the ship's hatch, how could she possibly lose money? You said, which one do you want for the soul rings of the Titan ape and this azure bull python? Qinghe did not answer Thousand Renxue's words, but with a strange smile, he asked with a clear victory in hand. Not only Thousand Renxue was stunned, but also the amazed pufferfish and snake spear on one side of her forehead, both with a stunned expression. The good friends looked at each other, both somewhat bewildered. "I'll choose Tianqing bull python." Although she didn't know what Qinghe's plan was, she felt that both of them already had this kind of relationship and wouldn't deceive her about it. However, she still couldn't figure out how Qinghe planned to kill these two 100,000-year-old soul beasts. Let's watch a good play later. Qinghe smiled slightly and reached out to embrace Thousand Renxue, whose face turned red. Someone is watching. The pufferfish and snake spear on one side caught a glimpse of this scene in the afterglow, and quickly turned around one by one, advancing a distance, as if I hadn't seen them without eyes. Tang San, I wonder if the surprise I have prepared for you will make you flattered and surprised." After paying the public grain, Qinghe reorganized Thousand Renxue's clothes and gave her the celestial crystal to use. After instructing the Tsigu and snake spear protectors, he turned around and walked towards the Lake of Life. He arrived at the branch of the big tree where Xiao Wu had been sitting before, releasing the spirit of the Heavenly King Tower and slowly entering it. Under the suppression of the Heavenly King Tower, Xiao Wu, who was the direct target, couldn't hold on for a second and fainted. At this moment, she appeared inside the Heavenly King Tower, unconscious in place. "I don't know what kind of expression your third cut will look like when I see you have a big belly." Qinghe looked at the little dance in the white dress, especially the legs that seemed to be covered in white silk. A smile curved around his mouth and he said, "This little black room is tailor-made for you." However, judging from his physique, it's no wonder the Tang family only called him Soul Beast. Playing with this leg is much better than sacrificing you, isn't it? For this rogue rabbit, if she were to be released, she would definitely offer sacrifices to Tang San. It's so cheap for Tang San, it's better to be a doll for him, isn't it? I really don't know, what kind of expression will he look like when you hold your big belly and see you have 3 cuts? Jia. In the Heavenly King Tower, as long as Qinghe does not die and the Heavenly King Tower does not break, this little dance will definitely not be able to leave. But if you want to break through this Heavenly King Tower, you probably need the strength of Sun Monkey from the myth of Journey to the West. However, is this strength achievable in the current Douluo world? Now, this rabbit has become a locked-up pet rabbit, and its daily duty is to play games with the owner Qinghe. Qinghe, who has this system by his side, won't be forced to practice or fight like when he first crossed over. Isn't it fragrant to marry and have children? Since I no longer plan to put this little dance back, why not lock her up and give birth to a baby with peace of mind? As long as she gives birth, there will be a reward. How can this rogue rabbit spend his whole life? Hiss, this can't be earned with blood. Thinking of this, Qinghe's eyes became increasingly fiery, and as he looked at the unconscious little dance, he slapped her back. Ah! Xiao Wu suddenly woke up and looked at Qinghe with a wicked smile in front of her. She was so scared that she sat on the ground and crawled back and forth, looking at Qinghe in horror. You, who are you? What do you want? Think about it. Xiao Wu. She instinctively glanced at her pristine white dress and breathed a sigh of relief after seeing no signs of being passive. Then, she looked at Qinghe, who was pressing in front of her step by step, and her face changed. Suddenly, her soul ring burst out. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 2 black. 6 ring Soul Emperor. After the Soul Master competition, Xiaowu, who had been practicing in seclusion for 5 years in the Star Do Forest, surprisingly grew up to the stage of the Soul Emperor. According to the standards of the Soul Saint entering the mature stage, she is not far away. Not to mention its strength, it is indeed not weak. However, this is not weak, it is only relative. In front of Qinghe, not to mention being the Soul Emperor and Soul Saint, as long as it is not Super Douluo, there is no pressure on him at all. Pop. Qinghe didn't get used to her either. With a backhand slap, it imprinted on her heart, causing her to fly backwards and fall heavily to the ground, with blood oozing from the corner of her mouth. Looking at Qinghe with some disbelief, how could you be so strong? She looked at Qinghe as just a young man, blindly guessing that his strength was not strong, but never expected that. His martial soul was not released, and he slapped her away with a single blow. She rubbed the area being fanned and felt a slight pain, causing her mouth to twitch uncontrollably. But immediately, she also put away the shock on her face and looked coldly at Qinghe. If you dare to hurt me, you're doomed. I'll give you a chance now, let me out immediately. Otherwise, you will die. Apart from the Azure Bull Python and Titan Ape, she is a rogue rabbit with 3 cuts of protection. This person dares to harm her, and it is still that part. There must be a way to take death, and it should be punished. What if I hit you? Qinghe's face showed a disdainful smile. This rogue rabbit is more confident than Thousand Renxue. She has never experienced the love of society and has not even figured out her own situation. Looking at her aloof demeanor, Qinghe suddenly had some anticipation in his heart. What would this rogue rabbit, which he had nurtured as a canary, become? With this in mind, Qinghe walked towards her with his hands on his back, calmly and step by step. I want something more exciting now. What can you do to me? How dare you? Xiao Wu was shocked and pale, but still pretended to be calm. I warn you, I cut his father 3 times, but he is a Haotian Douluo. If you touch me, your whole family will die. She only learned from the Titan Ape after returning to the forest that Tang San's father was actually Haotian Douluo. The original work said that the only one who defeated the Titan Ape was Tang Hao, so the Titan Ape should remember Tang Hao's face also. If you dare to touch me, the 200,000-year-old soul beasts outside will leave you with no place to bury yourself. Even if you are a titled Douluo, you cannot escape. She watched as Qinghe remained indifferent to her threat, even pressing forward step by step, and even retreated in fear, continuing to threaten in a loud voice, I warn you, the Star Forest is not as simple as you think. Are you referring to the dimensional space within the Lake of Life? Qinghe paused in his footsteps and slowly spoke up. In the original work, Xiaowu's mother speculated that her strength was stronger than that of Tianqing Bull Python and Titan Ape, otherwise these 2 beasts would not be able to call Xiaowu their sister. Under this premise, it is highly likely that Xiaowu's mother will come into contact with the ferocious beasts under the bottom of the Lake of Life. Of course, at most, she can only contact the weakest demon spirits, and it is impossible to come into contact with Emperor Tian. However, as a daughter, Xiaowu may have learned from her mouth that there is an insurmountable existence under the Lake of Life, but with the help of Xiaowu now. The strength of the 300,000-year-old soul beasts, Daming and Erming, cannot be verified, perhaps they are just legends. Now facing a desperate situation, Xiaowu has no choice but to die as a living doctor. Of course, there is another possibility that Xiaowu brought Xiaowu with her when she came into contact with ferocious animals, so the latter would know about it. Qinghe leans more towards the above statement, otherwise, this rogue rabbit wouldn't be so confident. You. How do you know? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Xiaowu, I only belong to the 3 cuts, don't be delusional. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Xiaowu, I only belong to the 3rd cut, don't be delusional. Therefore. As a daughter, Xiaowu may have learned from her mouth that there is an insurmountable existence beneath the lake of life. Just relying on the current little dance. The strength of the 300,000-year-old soul beasts, Daming and Erming, cannot be verified, perhaps they are just legends. Now facing a desperate situation, Xiaowu has no choice but to act as a lifeless medical worker, hoping to scare Qinghe and make him retreat. Of course. Another possibility is that Xiaowu his mother brought Xiaowu with her when she came into contact with ferocious animals, so the latter would know about it. Compared to others. Qinghe leans more towards the statement above. Otherwise, this rogue rabbit wouldn't be so confident. You. How do you know? Upon hearing Qinghe's words, Xiaowu immediately understood the secret beneath the bottom of the lake of life. Her whole rabbit head was stunned and her eyes widened in disbelief as she looked at him. You should know that even Daming and Erming didn't know this secret, only her mother told her before leaving. In theory, it is even more impossible for humans to have people who are aware of their existence. But how did you know about this person in front of you? But you think, how could they, who are deeply trapped in seclusion, force themselves out of the gate for you, this little miscellaneous fish? Qinghe smiled slightly, carried his hands on his back, and said calmly, your mother, as a soul beast who came into contact with them, hasn't seen them willing to step forward once. What qualifications do you have to alarm them? Upon hearing these words, Xiaowu's face immediately turned pale, and her heart was also filled with anxiety and unease, with a feeling as if her whole body was being seen through. Who is this person in front of me? Why can he know everything about her? Even the biggest secret of the starry forest is so casually revealed, as if one knows it like the palm of their hand. You, who the hell are you? How could you know so much? Seeing Xiaowu's face change, Qinghe's face also showed a playful smile. This rogue rabbit, under the guise of going out to find her mother's enemy to kill, fell in love with her 3 cuts without any bottom line or limit, as if everything was fine with her 3 cuts. Now, let me show you, what's the difference between whether your 3 cuts are in place or not. Of course, if dressed as Tang San, having such a rabbit with 1 leg to play with for years is not impossible, but unfortunately, he is not. For this rogue rabbit, although quite beautiful, even slightly taller than Thousand Renxue in appearance. But Qinghe still didn't have any good feelings for her. Some of them were just teasing the canary's thoughts, with the aim of cutting off Tang's chance. It's even more surprising if Tang really can't survive without Xiao Wu. Who am I? Qinghe stepped forward step by step and looked down at Xiao Wu, who was lying paralyzed on the ground. Remember, I am your master, and in the future, you will call me that. Do you understand? You fart. Xiao Wu trembled and pointed at Qinghe. She felt as if she had been insulted, and her legs immediately wrapped around Qinghe's neck, ready to take advantage of his unpreparedness and make an explosive 8-section fall to make him fall. But the next moment, Qinghe casually grabbed one of her feet and lifted her up, with her white skirt falling towards her waist. Pop! After a crisp slap, Xiaowu's face turned even redder. She exclaimed shyly, You bastard! Let go of me now. Qinghe shook his head and remained indifferent to her words. We already know the gap between us, why bother to resist? You just need to be honest and obedient as a pet, and that's all. What else do you have to worry so much about? After seeing Xiao Wu become honest, Qinghe casually threw her away as if throwing away a doll. Xiao Wu covered her skirt and stood up trembling slightly. She looked around and saw that it was pitch black, as if in an iron tower, with no air vents at all. However, the entire room was strangely lit with white light. What is this place? Is there such a place in the starry forest? She thought Qinghe had taken her away from the Lake of Life area, but in fact, she was still in the Star Forest. But these are not anywhere she has ever seen in all directions. A completely unfamiliar place. In this moment, Xiaowu's face turned even paler, and her pretty face was also filled with fear and unease. She had realized that she had been taken away from the Star Forest by Qinghe. Moreover, it was taken away in front of Daming and Erming. She felt a little uneasy as she groped around the black walls, trying to find an exit. Qinghe was not in a hurry about this, and even a little wanted to laugh. He looked at her face teasingly, from pale and fearful to sweating profusely, then to pale as paper, and finally to ashes. So, have you found the exit yet? Xiaowu sat on the ground with a face as pale as death, looking at Qinghe and saying, "What the hell is this place? What exactly do you want to do? This black wall in all directions is completely indestructible, and even her soul power hits it like an egg hitting a stone, unable to break through, harder than a turtle shell. Is it difficult? Does this person intend to imprison her forever here?" As for why she didn't think about her soul bones and soul rings. Because if Qinghe wanted her soul bones and soul rings, he would have directly killed her, and it was impossible to say so much to her. Of course, it could also be a hint of hope and longing for life hidden in her heart. She hoped she didn't have to die because she hadn't seen the 3 cuts she had been longing for. "This is my world." Qinghe carried his hands on his back and smiled slightly. "I am the master of this world, and everything inside is mine, including you, this rabbit. If you want to go out, it's not impossible. If you make me happy, maybe I can let you out to bask in the sun." Upon hearing these words, Xiaowu immediately shook her head wildly and said, "No, it's impossible. You must die of this heart, it's impossible. You should kill me. I can't promise you." She never thought about going out anymore because she felt that Qinghe couldn't let her out, even if she paid all the price. Just the next moment, Qinghe suddenly leaned over and chuckled softly in her ear, "What if I could show you the 3 cuts you've been longing for?" What did he say? Xiaowu was taken aback for a moment, and her eyes suddenly lit up. What are you saying? Perhaps when I'm in a good mood, I'll let you out and show you the 3 cuts you've been longing for. Her eyes lit up and she said, "Are you serious? But if you make me feel bad, I'm thinking, next time I come in, should I bring something you've cut 3 times? Qinghe smiled and said something that made Xiao Wu's face stiff, then burst into a cold sweat. For example, fingers, hair, scalp, flesh, legs, toes. Or, heart, arms, head. Or. At this point, Xiaowu was so scared that her heart almost stopped beating. She couldn't imagine what would happen if she saw the parts she had cut 3 times. She immediately knelt down in front of Qinghe with a thud and cried, "No, stop talking, I beg you to stop talking. I promise you everything you want, please don't cut your hand on San, I beg you." Qinghe smiled with a hint of mockery and said, "Anything is okay." As he spoke, he lifted his hand lightly and pinched her face, startling the latter. However, in the end, he overcame his psychological fear and raised his head, trembling as he asked, "What do you want to do? What do you think?" Feeling Qinghe's aggressive gaze, Xiaowu felt like she had nowhere to escape. Her whole body was cold and she was once again stimulated, so scared that she collapsed into a duck sitting on the ground, swallowing a mouthful of saliva with difficulty. "Can you make a different request?" Qinghe looked at her with a smile on his face and said, "You stay here and be honest. Maybe one day when I get tired of playing, I can release you and reunite you with your mistress. Isn't that good?" Xiaowu's face stiffened, and she instantly became shy and angry. She shouted angrily, "Impossible. I only belong to the 3rd cut, don't be delusional. She is a pure little dance, perfectly matched with Tang San, who is also pure. How can this guy who emerged from somewhere desecrate her pure body? So." She absolutely cannot agree, even if it's death. Also, this person dares to peep at her purity and purity, and has a way to take death. It seems that you still don't shed tears until you see the coffin. Qianren shook his head and slowly turned around. I'll go out first, bring in your 3-cut arm. This sentence immediately scared Xiaowu out of control and directly broke through her defense. In an instant, Qianren's words fell. She knelt down again with a thud and crawled over, holding onto Qianren's thigh, pleading bitterly, "No, no, I beg you, no, don't make 3 cuts. How about changing the terms? I can give you soul bones, eternal soul rings. I can even give you 100,000 years." Although she looked panicked on her face, she had already calculated in her heart that as long as Qianren released her, she would immediately tell her about the 3rd cut, and that person would undoubtedly die. As long as she can get out alive, everything doesn't matter anymore. She will make this person pay the price of bleeding. Oh, can both the Titan ape and the azure bull python be used? Qianren seemed to smile rather than smile. Can. Xiaowu's face was taken aback, but then she thought that she was drawing a big cake now, and immediately nodded in agreement. But the next moment, she felt a pain in her face and was slapped and hit against the wall, spewing out a mouthful of blood. I'm not in a very good mood now, dare you lie to me? Qianren hugged his arm and sneered, how dare you use this trick of deceiving a 3-year-old child in front of me? To teach you a lesson, now I have to go out and give you a big gift package, right? As he spoke, Qianren seemed to have just remembered, by the way, I almost forgot. 3 hours ago, your 3 cuts had already entered the inner circle of the starry forest. The exploration aura of the blue-silver grass earlier was hers, which is why the sky-blue bull python and titan ape appeared on the surface. Within an hour, I should be able to bring you one of your 3-cut hands. Upon hearing this, Xiaowu's face turned white and white again. As she watched Qianren's figure become transparent, as if it was about to disappear in the next moment, she struggled to hold back her injuries and ran over, but ultimately slowed down a step. The whole rabbit sat on the ground, feeling a bit dejected. It's over, it's dangerous to cut him 3 times. Qianren's figure reappeared in the valley and soon returned to the side of the cave, where he saw the pufferfish and snake spear still guarding outside. He ignored the good friends and walked into the cave, where he saw Qianren Snow. My martial soul has really evolved. Thousand Renxue saw Qianren approaching and immediately rushed forward excitedly, hugging him like an octopus, his face trembling with excitement. My original martial soul was a 6-winged angel, but now, I have evolved into a 12-winged angel. You know. Since ancient times, the martial souls of 1,000 families have been those of the 6-winged angels, and even the sage who achieved the first generation of angel gods among them is also the martial soul of the 6-winged angels. But now, she has directly surpassed the sages, thus using this terrifying 12-winged angel martial soul. How could this not surprise her? Now, as she looked at Qianren in front of her, she became more and more satisfied, and couldn't help but want, don't make a fuss, have you done what I just instructed you to do? Qianren slapped Qianren Shueduan on the T-shaped object, and his face turned red. After giving him a seductive white look, he nodded and casually took out something wrapped in paper from the storage bag. I did it, this is the little thumb of Tang San's left hand. At this point, she was a bit puzzled and said, what do you want Tang San's fingers to do? She couldn't figure it out. Well done, how did she cut someone's finger? It's okay, you can familiarize yourself with your strength for now. Qianren changed the topic and said, the increase brought by the 12-winged angel far exceeds that of the 6-winged angel before you. You need to adapt to your current strength, understand? As she spoke, Thousand Renxue nodded in agreement and said, that's right, the difference is not as simple as 2 or 3 times, but a full 5 times increase. From the 6-winged angel to the 12-winged angel, it seems as if only 6 wings have been added, as if the difference is twice, but in fact, the difference is even greater than this. This is like a 20-level difference from Soul Master to Soul Master, and a 20-level difference from Soul Saint to title Douluo. Can this same 20-level difference be the same? Have you understood this plan? Thousand Renxue nodded and said, Ghost Douluo and Ju Douluo led the team, the remaining golden generation of the martial Soul Hall, and many Soul Saints. Their goal is a 100,000-year-old soul beast within the starry forest, but I haven't inquired about the specifics. Thousand Renxue only brought the prickly porpoise and snake spear to meet Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo together. Although I may not necessarily know her, the six-winged angel's martial soul is enough to reveal her identity, so Giju Douluo did not conceal it. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Tang San, Xiao Wu, after 5 years, I finally lie down. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Tang San, Xiao Wu, it's been 5 years, and finally. I'm lying in bed. Where's my lover? Starry Forest. Near the Lake of Life area. Among the group of people in the Martial Soul Hall, Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo, who were the leaders, had a solemn expression and walked at the forefront, with many other soul saints closely following them. Tang San looked at the interior of the starry forest, which was getting closer and closer, and his heart was constantly excited. 3 hours ago, while resting in the Martial Soul Hall, he had already detected Xiaowu's aura through the blue-silver realm, which was in the Lake of Life area of the starry forest. However, Xiaowu's aura was surrounded by 2 powerful auras that were no less powerful than those of the title Douluo. He guessed that one of them might be the Titan Ape, and he didn't know about the other one yet. However, according to his detection, it was also from the other 100,000 grades. But he had no worries at all, because he was planning to turn these people from the Martial Soul Hall into cannon fodder. Anyway, he only needed to find his little dance. These damn Martial Soul Halls are indeed representatives of evil. It's really despicable to have just one finger on me. At this moment, Xiaowu's heart was yearning for the third cut, as she was wrapping her left little thumb around him, her face turning blue and purple. He never expected that he had originally planned to bury the Martial Soul Hall and others here as cannon fodder, but unexpectedly, Ghost Douluo appeared and wanted to kill him to ensure the top secret of the plan. Even if Yelena protested, it was useless. Tang San was not sure about facing a title Douluo. He could only rack his brains to come up with a comprehensive plan, and with Hulayin as guarantee, he expressed his determination at the cost of a little thumb. After agreeing to join the Martial Soul Hall, Douluo finally let him go. Actually, from beginning to end, Ghost Douluo was also very puzzled. He used to follow Qianshu and Ji all the time, and he had his share in the title Douluo that was once hammered by Tang Hao. Therefore, he knew the 6-winged angel. So, when Thousand Renxue came with a pufferfish and snake spear, attracting him and Ju Douluo to go over and giving him a task, he did not refuse. However, he couldn't understand why Thousand Renxue wanted Tang San's finger. Of course, he also knew that this matter was of great significance, especially when Thousand Renxue's identity was hidden from him. He instantly understood that this was a top-secret plan, not the kind he could inquire about. So, he completed the task with honesty, even though he is still in a daze. Everyone, be on guard. We're about to enter the core area of the Star Forest. At this moment, Chrysanthemum Douluo let out a loud shout, and a large group of people shook in unison. They quickly shouted, yes. Ghost Douluo finally regained his senses, collected his emotions, and looked around solemnly. I don't know why, everything around was quiet, not even the sound of birds and soul beasts could be heard, not even the ants on the ground could be seen. In all directions, only the swaying sound of the wind and grass, the swaying blue-silver grass, and the light floating sound. There's something strange, be vigilant. The core area is still some distance away from the Lake of Life. Generally, this area is the habitat of soul beasts over 50,000 years old. However, at this moment, Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo did not notice any turbulence. They looked around cautiously and approached the direction of the Lake of Life at turtle speed. Yan and Xiaowu pressed on Tang San's neck respectively. Because the previous Ghost Douluo had chopped off one of his thumbs, it was difficult to guarantee that this person would take advantage of the chaos to retaliate. Therefore, Ghost Douluo arranged for these two people to keep an eye on Tang San. Many soul saints and elites are centered around them, vigilantly watching the wind and grass around them. And at this moment, Qinghe had already arrived at the branch of the tree where the little dance was sitting earlier. With 3,000 thunderbolts moving around, Qinghe didn't startle anyone at all, even Gue Douluo and Ju Douluo didn't notice any signs. At this moment, Daming and Erming in the Lake of Life have not returned yet, because only an hour has passed, and they should be frantically searching for someone on the other side. Come to the branch. Qinghe reopened his Heavenly King Tower martial soul, carrying his hands on his back, and walked into it. You. Xiao Wu saw that Qinghe had returned shortly after, and immediately opened her mouth. Just as she was about to say something more, she saw Qinghe slapping her in the face with such force that she threw her whole body away and fell heavily to the ground, covering the 5-finger mountain on her face. How did you address it? Forgot it again. Qinghe disdainfully threw Tang San's little thumb on the ground like garbage. In front of Xiao Wu, it seems that this is just a finger, it's okay. Next time, I'll just take one of his arms. Xiao Wu could tell at a glance that this was her 3-cut finger, and as for why she could tell it, don't ask, it was her lover. What do you want, you? Xiao Wu lifted her head and looked at Qinghe, her gaze somewhat frightened. She now believed that Qinghe might have hurt her 3 times. Pop. However, as soon as her words fell, Qinghe slapped him again. With his strength as a title Douluo, Xiao Wu couldn't react at all. On top of another pretty face, a red 5-finger mountain was immediately printed, and he fell to the ground with a slap, his face bleeding. At this moment, her stunning appearance no longer exists, only her 2 red 5-fingered mountain prints, with blood flowing on both sides of her mouth, looking extremely disheveled. She no longer has the towering goddess-like demeanor she used to have. What did you call me just now? Xiao Wu covered her fiery face and struggled to get up. Anger, fear, and shame intertwined in her heart, and the corners of her eyes immediately became moist. When did she suffer such injustice under her mother's protection back then? There's no need for her mother to do anything at all. Daming and Erming will help prevent their anger and tear the other person into pieces. Especially now, it's still at her Star Forest home court. However, now, even with any shame and grievance in her heart, she can only hold it deep in her heart, only feeling frightened as she looks at Qinghe with a smile that seems to be unpredictable, and her pretty face is also full of fear. She's scared. Speak up. Qinghe raised his eyebrows, wondering if this rogue rabbit had been thrown into doubt by his 2 slaps, foolish. Immediately, he let out a cold snort and raised his big hand, causing the little dance to make a splash. He knelt down at Qinghe's feet, like a pitiful little rabbit paper, trembling with fear. No, no, I can't. Xiao Wu covered her face and suppressed her fear, but her gaze remained firm. I can't do this, you, don't even think about it. It seems that you still don't have a long memory. Qinghe sneered and turned around, as if he was about to walk towards the outside. I'm not in a good mood now, and I'm going out to chop off one of your 3 severed arms to vent my frustration. As soon as these words were spoken, Xiao Wu's face turned white with fear. She hugged Qinghe's thigh with a crawling thud and cried out, No, no, please, please don't cut me 3 times. I beg you, okay. Seeking. How can I ask for it? Xiao Wu's heart trembled as she lowered her head and said, Bananas and milk. Qinghe. When I typed this symbol, it wasn't me who had a problem, it was you who had a problem. Noticing Qinghe's gaze facing the white of the waterfall, Xiao Wu quickly released the hand that was holding his thigh, covered her neck below, and shook her head repeatedly. No, 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 that's 3 cuts. Besides this, I can agree to all your demands. I can even give you 100,000 years of soul bones. Qianren was momentarily taken aback by these words and said with great interest, "Oh, whose 100,000-year soul bone?" "Those 2 soul beasts outside." Qianren's gaze trembled. "I lost it. When is the critical moment to sell my younger brother? How to give it? This is a secret. When they hear it, they will definitely obey orders and offer sacrifices to you." Upon hearing Xiaowu's confident words, Qianren was momentarily taken aback. Suddenly, he sneered without warning, and with a cold expression behind him, he suddenly slapped Xiaowu and threw her away. "Are you riding a horse and treating me like a 3-year-old child?" Qianren sneered and wiped the bloodstains on his hands with a tissue in disgust. "Let you out so that these 200,000-year-old soul beasts can besiege me, right? You truly deserve to be a rogue rabbit. When it comes to your 3 cuts, is your intelligence enough?" Xiaowu covered her face, and now half of her face has really been drained of blood, even slightly disfigured. Half of her face is congested and rosy. "I still said that sentence." Seeing Xiaowu still racking her brains to devise schemes, Qianren had lost patience and said, "I'm satisfied enough. I can consider letting you go. If I'm not satisfied enough, I'll be in a bad mood. If I'm not in a good mood, I'll go out and dismantle the 3 components of your house to play. Now it's an appetizer, just a fingertip. The next time it's fate, maybe it's an arm, maybe a foot, or a pumpkin spear." At this point, Qianren chuckled and said, "I really don't know if you, my dear, can still become a title Douluo after losing one of your 3 severed limbs." Upon hearing the demonic words, Xiaowu trembled and pointed at Qianren. You are a demon. You are not a human. On the Douluo continent, breaking a limb can suffer significant sequelae, especially if Qi Zhen is broken. Tang Hao's original work of cutting off his arm, leg and bone, which can lead to a permanent decrease in soul power and make it difficult to improve by half in this lifetime. You should know that her 3 cuts are innate, full of soul power, a true genius, and the future title Douluo. If one of her arms were to break, then she couldn't imagine how hopeless and devastated her 3rd cut would be. "No, no, I beg you." Qianren sneered, "Seeking. What should we use to seek? I can forget all the names, but I think it's more interesting to go back and kill your 3 cuts." Speaking, Qianren had lost his patience and turned to walk outside. Seeing this scene, Xiaowu couldn't help but think of the previous time when Qianren said he would leave, and then this time he brought her 3 cut fingers directly. When if this really made Qianren go out feeling unhappy this time? Immediately, Xiaowu was so scared that her face turned pale. She quickly threw herself over and hugged Qianren's legs tightly, using her big white wings to press her. At the same time, on top of her humiliating pretty face, her rosy lips whispered, "Master. Master. That's just being good." Qianren seemed a bit surprised. He looked down at her and touched her head like a kitten. He chuckled lightly and said, "As long as you make me comfortable, I can take you out to play." "Really, really." Seeing the ferocious Qianren gently caressing her little head before, Xiaowu's heart suddenly shook. She couldn't help but look up at Qianren, feeling that the latter's words seemed credible. "Right. Beat a few sticks and then give candy to eat. This method is not satisfying after repeated use. Of course, only obedient little maids are qualified for me to consider." Qianren held his arm and a smile appeared on his face. I will definitely protect you and become an obedient little servant." Xiaowu breathed a sigh of relief and finally had hope to go out. She swore that when she went out, Daming and Erming would definitely kill this damn thing. "Now, take off." Xiaowu. Seeing the bewildered little dance, Qianren's face suddenly turned from sunny to gloomy. Suddenly, she shook off her arm that was holding her legs and said, I don't know what to do. Dare to lie to me, you can have your 3-cut roasted arm and braised thigh for dinner later, and then get ready to go." Upon hearing this, Xiao Wu, who had been stunned before, suddenly turned pale in fear and hugged him. "No, no, I'm obedient, I'm obedient." At this moment, she finally understood that the indifference of the man in front of her was different from those men who had long coveted her before. Others all want her soul bones and soul rings, while the man in front of her is only interested in her charming face and perfect figure. The difference between them is significant. The former allows the opponent to relentlessly pursue and even explore for several months, with a high level of interest. But the latter, perhaps the other party's interest is only within these 1 or 2 hours. Once the other party is completely disgusted and impatient, no matter how stunning your appearance is, you can slap it to death. And now Qinghe, in Xiao Wu's eyes, is the latter. If she really gets impatient with the other person like this, with this person's unpredictable attitude, she may immediately kill the 3 cuts she has been longing for to vent her anger. What if she is rescued and avenged then? What's the point of being alone when she's lost all 3 cuts in her heart? Me, us, let's go out like that. Is that okay? Xiao Wu knelt down on the ground with a thud, and seeing her tearful expression, it seemed like she had truly accepted her fate. Qinghe's mouth curved a satisfied curve without moving its expression, but in an instant, he said, "Okay." At the same time, Starry Forest, Lake of Life region. Xiao Wu, it's been 5 years. Are you okay? I finally. Lie down, where's my lover? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The rain wets the sky, and the gray is even more graceful. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The rain wets the sky, and the gray is even more graceful. Xiao Wu, I finally. Lie down, where is my lover? Tang San, along with numerous people such as the Martial Soul Hall, finally entered the area of the Lake of Life. He couldn't wait to find the figure he longed for. 3 hours ago, he discovered the results of his exploration in the blue-silver field. He is very confident that his little dance is under that big tree. Just as he looked up, the figure he had been longing for disappeared without a trace. Where is my lover? Tang San's whole body is stuck in a crab. The next moment, he seemed to have gone crazy and rushed towards the tree, digging 3 feet like a mad dog digging and urinating. He didn't know how long he had been digging, but when he felt exhausted, he sat on the ground powerless and decadent, leaning against the big tree, squinting his eyes and lifting his head, opening his mouth slightly, trying to suppress tears and prevent them from flowing. My little dance. Woo-woo. Tang San moaned silently, and suddenly he felt like the sky was raining. Is it my sincere love with Xiao Wu that even heaven was moved by? Can't help but feel sad for me at this moment. At the moment when Tang San's heart was lost in thought, he felt endless pride, but even the heavens were shedding tears for his love with Xiao Wu. Who can achieve this supreme honor? Qinghe remembers that he had the privilege of riding a luxury car before he had traveled across the country. That is a pink Lamborghini from a wealthy roommate, reportedly intended for his online crush. But unfortunately, as soon as his roommate's car arrived at the villa, something happened to someone out of town and he was temporarily unable to drive, and there was only Qinghe in the area. So he asked Qinghe to drive this luxury car to his hometown. Qinghe naturally wouldn't refuse the request of this wealthy roommate, so he tried driving this pink Lamborghini. After all, this new car, it's also a luxury car. With Qinghe's economic ability in his past life, he probably had to struggle for 1,000 months before he could afford it. However, to be honest, the feel of this luxury car is still impressive, and there is a big gap compared to Qinghe's at the driving school. My roommate has a garden in another city, all of which are manors, and to drive into the manor, one must pass through a tunnel. This was also discovered by Qinghe after driving a tunnel, and there is even a tropical rainforest climate in the garden area in China. Good guy. Is this the construction of a fortress? After passing through the privately built estate passage and passing through the garden, Qianren hurriedly got off the car and swept away the leaves accidentally stained. This is a new car, and if it were scratched, he might not be able to afford to sell it. Quickly, after cleaning up, Qianren set off again, but to his surprise, as he arrived at the garage, the security guard expressionlessly took out the faucet and sprayed towards the parked car, regardless of whether Qianren had just opened the car door to get off. In an instant, Qianren was completely drenched by the faucet held by the security guard, getting wet from head to toe. The rain soaked the sky, making it even more gray. Tang San expressed that he didn't understand why it would rain behind the tree. Strange, I'm hiding under a tree. How could I get caught in the rain? His subconscious lick felt like the smell of Bloody Mary in the capital of slaughter. That's why he became even more puzzled. What's going on? Tang San was a bit puzzled. He lowered his head to wipe away his tears and was about to look up. Suddenly, a deafening roar of cows and the roar of giant apes rang out. It's the sky blue bull python and titan ape back. Roar. The sudden deafening sound startled all the birds in sight and fled, as if encountering some great terror, trembling and crawling away one by one. Row, with Tang San's spiritual power, there was also a brief blank at this moment, and in an instant, the whole person fell into a brief dizziness. Not good, it's 200,000-year-old soul beasts. Gue Douluo and Ju Douluo were the first to react, their faces changed greatly. Looking at the two huge figures rushing from the other direction, their hearts trembled instantly. In their estimation, there was only 100,000-year-old soul beast, the Titan ape, in the star forest. That's why Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo came together, but to their surprise, there were 200,000-year-old soul beasts. Hurry up and escape. The two looked at each other with a gloomy expression. Now that the 100,000-year-old rabbit is nowhere to be found, they have also lost the biggest goal of this operation. If they stay here again, they will probably be torn apart by these two 100,000-year-old soul beasts. However, is this not just a place where they can come and leave as they please? As soon as Tianqing bull python and titan ape returned, their first glance fell on the numerous people in the martial soul hall who wanted to retreat. There's no way. Only Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo were present as Title Douluo, and their unique aura made it difficult for soul beasts not to notice. Second, take them down and leave none behind. The sky blue ox python spits out human words. He felt that it must have been these damn humans who stole little Dance Sister. He wants to kill these people to vent his anger, and then go back to little Dance Sister. In the moment when words fall, his cold gaze immediately swept over the crowd like a sharp sword. In that moment, everything around him suddenly turned blue. At this moment, everyone in the martial soul hall only felt their bodies slow down, at least slowing down by more than 30%. Immediately, words fall behind. The Titan ape took the lead in killing the elite of the martial soul hall. All withdraw. Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo both had a big change in their faces, as they hurriedly complained to the frightened elite of the martial soul hall while parting ways to deal with it. The strongest among the many people in the martial soul hall, apart from the two of them, is the soul saint. Even if they use their martial soul fusion technique to immobilize these two 100,000-year soul beasts, with the strength of these soul saint, they may not even be able to break the skin of the sky blue bull python and the titan ape. Simply face the drag and let these elite escape. Tang Yin, let's go. Hulina took a few steps back and suddenly saw Tang San, who was still frozen in place. She shouted, "Let's go, what are you still staring at? It's you, it's you." Tang Sangang had just been stimulated to his brain by the roar of two 100,000-year-old soul beasts, and his thoughts were also somewhat unclear. The thought he had just looked up dissipated, and his attention was also focused on Hulina at this moment. At the moment he saw her, he immediately thought of tens of thousands of conspiracy theories. This conspiracy theory that Hulina had feelings for him but couldn't get him to frame her Xiaowu was common in the martial arts world of Tang's sect in his past life. However, this thought was only instantly cut off by him. Because it's impossible. Hulina didn't know he was Tang San. So there's only one left. Tang San suddenly remembered that Ghost Douluo had asked him for a finger before. At that time, he thought it was because Ghost Douluo had an unknown special habit, but now he's looking back. This person is definitely using his finger to threaten his lover Xiao Wu. With Xiao Wu's love for him, he will definitely submit. Thinking of this, Tang San pulled out his Haotian hammer with a ferocious expression and threw it at Hulina. Go to hell, damn martial soul hall. As for why he smashed Hulina. Now many elite members of the martial soul hall are completely out of his attack range. Now. Ghost Douluo is dragging the Titan ape, while Kikudoluo is dealing with the sky blue bull python. Only one Hulina is standing within his attack range not far away. In other words, among those present, except for Hulina, either he couldn't hit any of them, or he couldn't hit any of them. Nana. Ghost Douluo was shocked and turned pale. He never expected that this young generation would dare to harm the holy woman Hulina. He was so angry that he trembled all over. Taking advantage of the moment when he was knocked away by the Titan ape, his seventh soul ring shone, and the moment his martial soul was suddenly released, his whole body became illusory. In the blink of an eye, it became transparent and quietly appeared in front of Tang San. Junior, you're looking for death. Ghost Douluo threw a big mouth onto Tang San's face, forcefully pulling him out and hitting his body heavily against the tree, causing his face to swell high. Eyes full of Venus. Xiaowu, my lover. He bumped into a tree with some Venus shining, and his eyes suddenly became somewhat uncomfortable. He seems to have seen his most beloved little dance. At this moment, his lover Xiaowu's face turned red and extremely charming, with a pair of big talking eyes full of affection, staring at him without blinking, leaving Tang San stunned. Xiaowu, I am very happy to see you before I die. Tang San thought it was a reflection before his death, and a smile appeared on his face. He slightly extended his hand to touch his hard-earned dream, but suddenly shook it and held on to a soft little hand. Xiaowu. Tang San suddenly woke up with a start, and upon seeing the scene before him, his eyes were shattered. You. Tang San suddenly widened his eyes and pointed to Qinghe in front of him. Just as he was about to say something, suddenly, Xiao Wu's hoarse and sharp voice rang out. Daming, kill him. Previously. The Ghost Douluo, who slapped Tang San with a big mouth, just scared Hulina away. Before he could take any action, he was locked in the gravity field of the Titan ape, and the next punch almost exploded his entire body. At this moment, he had just gotten up from the ground and stood with Ghost Douluo, who was also injured. No, if this continues, we will definitely be completely annihilated. What should we do? Do we need the martial soul fusion technique? Not now, they're keeping an eye on us in case we have any backers. As the two kings on the surface of the Star Do forest, the Azure Bull Python and the Titan Ape are naturally not the kind of reckless men. They also know that as a title Douluo, there must be some backhands, and if these backhands can become the final trump card for a title Douluo, they can definitely save their lives. So, after feeling that both Ghost Douluo and Ghost Douluo were severely injured, they did not act recklessly. Instead, they stared at Ghost Douluo and Ghost Douluo tightly, controlling their respective territories and crushing the minions of the martial soul hall. Under the fields of gravity and sluggishness, some low-level soul saints can no longer bear the huge eyes in them, and their bones are crushed by the powerful gravity. If consumed like this, all these elite members of the martial soul hall will surely be destroyed. Just at this moment, Tianqing Bull Python and Titan Ape suddenly heard the sound of that little dance. Daming, kill this bastard. They suddenly turned around and were also stunned when they saw this scene. Xiao Wu's sister. Is it this human? The two of them felt a chill in their hearts, no longer talking nonsense, just as they were about to apply their domain to Qinghe. The opportunity is here. Ghost Douluo and Ju Douluo, who had been searching for opportunities, suddenly showed great joy on their faces. Martial Soul Fusion Technique. The two of them looked at each other, stood facing each other, clasped their hands, and their bodies suddenly merged. Everything around them was instantly covered in gold and silver, especially the turned azure bull python and titan ape, who were also frozen in shape at that moment. Polar Stationary Field. Under an accident, the sky blue bull python and titan ape were directly locked in, their bodies unable to move at all. Under their massive body, only their eyeballs were still able to move. We can only trap these two soul beasts for a while, you immediately retreat. Due to their perspective, Gui Douluo and Ju Douluo only saw the Tianqing bull python and titan ape turning around in front of them, and did not see Qinghe, Xiao Wu, and Tang San facing each other directly at this moment. Seeing these two divine beasts being pinned down, the voice of Ghost Douluo also sounded. The elite of the martial soul hall were also like amnesty, and the pressure from the slow and gravity fields on their bodies was completely gone. After hearing these words, how dare they stay? Turn around and run. Tang Yin, let's go. At this point, the white-eyed fox was still thinking about her Tang San, but the next moment, she had no chance. Bang! Thousand Renxue couldn't bear to watch and slapped Hulina from the sky, which covered her head. Hulina rolled her eyes and fainted. I finally know. When I said I wanted her, but you really didn't agree. She can't even stand this horse-stomping person anymore. This white-eyed wolf, someone else Tang San is going to kill you and still licking here. Your mother was probably like this back then. Chen Yu's words instantly made Thousand Renxue's hair boil. What did you say? If you don't believe it, you can go back and ask. Thousand Renxue remained silent. She snorted and arrogantly turned her head away, with a look of quickly coaxing me and making me angry. I don't know why, after Qinghe helped her evolve her martial soul, she knew she had a vested interest in Qinghe, but why couldn't she stop wanting to act coquettishly and attract his attention? Is this what is said to be the beginning of seeing colors? Pooh, love at first sight. Just as Thousand Renxue was lost in thought, Qinghe smiled and shook his head, pointing to the motionless Tianqing bull python and titan ape, and spoke to Thousand Renxue. However, what he said surprised everyone. Choose one. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Tang San, do you dare to enter and treat my little dance? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Tang San, you dare to treat my little dance on the ground, I'll kill you. What are you saying? Thousand Renxue hesitated for a moment and said, I haven't reached the time to absorb soul rings yet, I. Choose as you please, don't talk so much nonsense. Under the fierce attack of Qinghe, Thousand Renxue suddenly felt pitiful and pointed to Tianqing bull python, I choose this. Okay. Qinghe nodded and a smile appeared on his face. You did it on purpose. Xiao Wu covered her skirt, her eyes wide open at this moment, and she swallowed a mouthful of saliva with difficulty. Her pretty face was all pale. You deliberately let me out. At this point, if she still hasn't understood, then she's just a pig's brain, not a rabbit's brain. A bit smart, but not much. Chen Yu's face showed a smile, and as her palms spread out, the 3 purple, 5 black, and 1 red soul rings, which were far beyond the standard configuration, suddenly blinded her titanium alloy rabbit eyes. You're despicable, you're shameless, you bastard. Xiao Wu was instantly stunned. She never expected that this person in front of her was actually a title Douluo. You. Dare you underestimate my little dance, I'll kill you. At this moment, Tang San felt as if he had been shocked, his eyes turning red with blood. He went crazy and picked up the Haotian hammer, slamming it towards Qinghe with a loud bang. Don't worry, it's still useful to keep you. Chen Yu seemed to be holding a doll, and one finger pressed against the Haotian hammer that was as big as a clay pot. Despite Tang San's frantic force, his palms trembled, unable to push Chen Yu even a tiny distance. This scene stunned Thousand Renxue, who was not only terrifying in some aspects, but also quite powerful in this aspect. Look at this toy rabbit, don't let her cause trouble. Chen Yu had no intention of playing with this little rascal. As he casually lifted it, the Haotian hammer flew out like thrown garbage, and then slapped Tang San's face with a backhand. The remaining half of his handsome face suddenly turned into a pig's head face, and at first glance, there was a sense of fit with the half of his face from the previous ghost Douluo fan. Tang San fell to the ground, completely fainting, his face bleeding. After finishing these, he clapped his hands and looked at Thousand Renxue, giving orders. Oh, good. Thousand Renxue nodded and jumped onto the branch, pressing down on the frightened Xiao Wu with a hint of doubt. She grabbed Xiao Wu's hands and lifted them open. Xiao Wu. She suppressed her humiliation and looked at the scene with hopeful eyes, hoping that Daming and Erming would not die, and even killed this despicable bastard. And those miscellaneous items from the Martial Soul Hall. On the other side. What happened? At this moment, Guiju Douluo, who was maintaining a 2-level static field, looked at Chen Yu walking towards him with a bewildered expression on his face and didn't even know him. I don't know, but why don't we just maintain this form? The person who said this was Guiju Douluo, because he felt the breath of Thousand Renxue, who had come to ask for Tang San's little thumb before. So, he felt that this should be a secret operation of the temple of worship. After all, he had also followed Qian Xuani, and naturally knew that the six-winged angel was an old inheritance of the Qian family. Okay. Chrysanthemum Douluo also understood his good friend's thoughts, and immediately their soul power was being read and used. In the area of the Titan Ape and the Sky Blue Bull Python, the stillness became more stable. Damn humanity. The Titan Ape was so angry that it could only widen its eyes. Human, I warn you. Second, don't panic. Compared to the irritable Titan Ape, the mentor of Tianqing Bull Python is more calm. Even if we are restricted by their territory, if we want to kill us, we need at least 4 title Douluo or more to have a chance to kill the 2 of us. Even if this human is a title Douluo, it doesn't matter. A drawback of the 2-level stationary domain is that once a move is made, the stationary target must be instantly killed, otherwise the target will be immediately released from this stationary state after being attacked. If the 2 levels of stationary fields could always set their goals, it would be impossible for Deming and Erming in the original work to successfully escape and be given away to Tang San with so many titles and Douluo by Bibi Dong. And Tianqing Bull Python is very confident, with his and Titan Ape strength, even if facing the 9th soul skill of 2 Super Douluo, he will not be directly cut off. Just the next moment. A breath that seemed to be groundbreaking, accompanied by a strange black sharp battle axe, appeared before its eyes. So, what is that? Not only did the Titan Ape's face change dramatically, but the previously confident and honeyed sky blue bull python now widened his bull eyes, filled with a look of fear. He felt that under this strike, he was afraid to treat it as chopped snake skin. Soul true body, Pangu Kai Tian axe. Chen Yu's figure gradually dissipated into illusion, replaced by a 100-meter-long Pangu sky opening axe. Only the white shadow of the axe flickered past, and in an instant, the entire Titan ape beast froze at this moment. The next moment, his body, like a mountain range, fell to the ground with a loud roar, like a watermelon cut in half. A strange red soul ring, accompanied by a forest-white energetic soul bone, came to Chen Yueching's side with a wave of his palm as he lifted it lightly. Erming. Xiaowu was instantly stunned. She never expected that the mountain-like Erming would be chopped by Chen Yu with such a simple axe. It's all my fault. At this moment, Xiaowu's intestines are all regretful. I was wrong, I will obey. In the future, I beg you, don't don't kill Daming, I beg you. It seems that something has come to mind. Xiao Wu, with tears streaming down her face, struggled to hold back her discomfort and stood up, wanting to kneel on the ground and beg for mercy while holding on to Chen Yu's thigh. However, as soon as she moved, Thousand Renxue pressed her down and said, "Can you move again? Do you believe I killed Tang San?" Xiao Wu. It's your turn. Chen Yu casually used the system space to include both soul rings and soul bones, and now is not the best time to absorb soul rings. Anyway, this system space can store all non-living creatures. The soul rings and bones cannot be any living creatures, can they? After finishing these tasks, his gaze immediately fell on the body of the Tianqing bull python, filled with a playful expression. Tianqing bull python was stiff all over. If he were in human form at the moment, his face would have stiffened, but from his huge bull eyes now, his gaze was somewhat terrifying. You know. His strength is only 1/3 stronger than that of the Titan ape. After all, both are 100,000-year-old soul beasts. He has a trace of the bloodline of the golden-eye black dragon king, and his strength is naturally stronger than other types of 100,000-year-old soul beasts, but it is only a few, and he cannot even double it. However, the Titan ape was split in half by the human in front of him with one axe, so I can surrender, I can become her soul. No, don't kill me, can you? Soul. Upon hearing these words, Qianren Shueduan was momentarily stunned, which touched upon her knowledge blind spot. Soul, is this a good idea? Chen Yu, on the other hand, was noticeably taken aback when he heard Tianqing bull python's words. Do you know about ghosts? However, during the Do-air period, the only one who slept hard, with millions of years of cultivation, and had been in a dream all along, even the ice worm with closed messages could know how to become a soul. Is it reasonable for the blue ox python to know this day? However, Chen Yu only believes in this guy. He must have heard of a soul or knew about it, but he definitely doesn't know how it turned into a soul. Otherwise, how could the original work still be sacrificed before a certain 3 instead of becoming a soul? Tianqing bull python didn't know that Chen Yu had already seen through his lies. At this moment, he seemed to be moved when he heard Chen Yu, and his face showed great joy. Yes, I can become a soul. As we all know, souls have many benefits compared to soul rings. Trust me. There are many benefits, I believe, but relying solely on you, can you master the soul method? The joyful expression on Tianqing bull python's face suddenly froze, but before he could react, Chen Yu took another action. The 6th soul skill, one axe from the sky. As he was speaking, Chen Yu suddenly burst into a rage. A large axe, as big as a clay pot, turned into a long light and swung towards the empty person on the head of the blue ox python that day. In an instant, his huge head cracked inch by inch, and the long light axe was only 1 centimeter away from cutting off the entire ox head. Pushi. At this moment, due to Chen Yu's 2 axes, the 2 levels of the still realm of the ghost chrysanthemum Douluo also appeared as a spider web-like horizontal line at this moment. Only a sound of blood spurting exploded together, and the 2 figures suddenly fell backwards to the ground, their breath somewhat weak. But at this moment, neither Chen Yu nor Thousand Renxue looked at them again. Angel's true form. At the moment when Chen Yuesher exhibited his 6th soul skill, Thousand Renxue instantly understood. She instantly unleashed her martial soul true body, bathed in gold in an instant, and behind her spread 12 golden wings. Angel Realm. Her momentum is also rising step by step with the opening of the field. Under the realm of martial soul and angel, her aura is no less than that of a typical title Douluo. The 5th soul skill, the sacred sword. Almost at the moment when the field opened up, the 5th soul ring behind her flashed out, and a golden long sword, carrying a blazing heat, took advantage of the moment when Chen Yu's long light axe dissipated and connected it along the wound. Puzzy. Tianqing bull python's eyes widened, and the expression in his eyes slowly dissipated. No. Daming. Without any restraint, Xiao Wu suddenly panicked and fell down in a rolling motion. However, at this moment, her legs had become numb and she could only lie on the ground, tears streaming down as she watched the body of the green ox python split in half before her, falling to the ground with a loud bang. What should I do now? Thousand Renxue, who had finished all of this, looked at the soul ring that was floating in front of her, emitting a strange red light. Her breath was stagnant, but thinking of her current level of soul power, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but twitch. She had not yet reached the critical point. Release the soul ring. Regarding this, Qianyu had no explanation at all and instructed. Okay. Thousand Renxue is very obedient. It should be because she had just eaten a lot last night, and immediately released her soul ring. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 3 black. Facing her puzzled gaze, Qianyu walked to the position of her first soul ring and took out the broken soul stone from the system space, lightly tapping it on the soul ring. No, you. Thousand Renxue was about to say something, but the sudden sensation made her face change. She felt that her first soul ring had lost contact at this moment, but when she tried to sense it again, she was shocked to find that her first soul ring was gone. Not just her. At this moment, even Gui Douluo and Zhu Douluo, who were injured after being forcibly eliminated from the 2 levels of static realm, couldn't help but widen their eyes at this moment. Looking at the scene before them, they gasped for breath. Click. The originally illusory soul ring, which could only be seen but not touched, was strangely hit like a physical object under the attack of this stone, and then shattered like glass, crashing out of the ground. Seeing Ghost Chrysanthemum Douluo and Thousand Renxue, they almost stared out of their eyes. How could this be? Crush the existing soul rings. Then obtain a new soul ring. Seeing this scene, Ghost Chrysanthemum took a cold breath when fighting against Luo Dun. The 2 good friends exchanged a glance, only seeing the shock and disbelief in each other's eyes. Is there such a divine being in this world? Suck. Thousand Renxue nodded, but for some reason, she felt that there was something wrong with Qianyu's gaze paired with his 2 words at this moment. What are you still waiting for? Soul-absorbing rings. Seeing Thousand Renxue's seemingly incomprehensible expression, Qianyu suddenly slammed a chestnut on her forehead. The latter reluctantly covered her head and quickly dodged to absorb the 100,000-year-old soul ring. You're a demon. You're a demon. Don't come over. Xiao Wu looked at Qianyu in horror and climbed back up. Her legs had been sealed by Thousand Renxue's soul power and she had lost consciousness. This was also to prevent her from escaping when Thousand Renxue had made a move earlier. Okay, I won't go over. Qianyu hugged his arm and looked at Xiao Wu in terror with a smile on his face. Suddenly, Pan Gu's heavenly axe appeared in his palm, and with a backhand, it was like chopping it with an axe. Sting. Ah. Xiao Wu's face turned pale with fear, and she covered it tightly. After waiting for a while, she opened her fingers and exposed her eyes. Suddenly, a pair of pink rabbit eyes were filled with horror, fear, and a look of heartache. 3 cuts, 3 cuts. If you have this thigh, I'll make you a meal tonight. Qianyu casually took out Tang San's 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor's right leg sole bone from his severed thigh and threw it to Xiao Wu in disgust. Is that enough? If it's not enough, add another claw. Xiao Wu shook her head desperately and knelt down at Qianyu's feet with both hands supporting her body. She sobbed and cried, "Yes, I'm sorry, Lord, people. I was wrong, I dare not. I dare not hide anymore, sobbing, master, person." She understood that Qianyu now had a long memory. She had just dared to resist her master, which made her lover Tang San angry. But I'm still holding my breath. What should I do? Qianyu's face seemed to smile rather than smile. Xiao Wu, She silently lowered her proud head and lost her previous confidence. Damning and damning, both because of her death. Now, she is real, helpless, and can only rely on her dear to have her third cut. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Xiaowu, 3 cuts, although I still love you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Xiao Wu, 3 cuts, although I still love you. After practice, Qianren believes that as the fuel tank expands, the more one can experience the joy of racing. Full speed forward, flying thousands of miles. Just like the advertisement in his past life, the poison Lamborghini, he thinks his pink Maserati is not bad either. But one thing to say. This oil barrel is big enough, but after a long period of racing, it's a bit difficult because the tires will definitely not be able to handle it. I haven't bought a car before, and my understanding of cars is limited to Qianren from the driving school. I thought it was just that. But after this trip to the pink Lamborghini, he realized. High-speed tire blowout is due to racing too fast. This time, he learned to be smart. At the request of his roommate, Qianren couldn't refuse to drive this pink Maserati to another city, and he also found it quite enjoyable. So, on a dark and stormy night, he drove all the way, but just as he left the garden of the estate and reached the tunnel, he encountered a tsunami disaster caused by the expansion of the neighboring reservoir and the rising water level. Qianren was so frightened that he trembled. In a hurry, he mistakenly applied the brake as the accelerator, and the whole new car sped away, facing the wind and waves like an arrow leaving the string, becoming a bubble in all directions. The scene of flooding all around made Qianren have to keep pressing on the accelerator, afraid to look because he would despair at first sight. Now that the car is already flooded, if he can't flush out, he might drown. Boom. Finally, he seemed to have rushed out of the tunnel built outside the garden, but the loud noise that followed also gave Qianren a sense of despair. It's the cliff outside his roommate's estate. Now, the car is really going to destroy people. You're a demon. Xiaowu looked at Qianren with a look of hatred on her face, but deep in this hatred, with a strong sense of fear, she was true. She never expected that with the same title Douluo as the ghost chrysanthemum Douluo, why was Qianren so strong? Even the combination of the sky blue bull python and the titan ape is no match for his one move. What are you saying? Qianren seemed to smile rather than smile, causing Xiao Wu's face to turn white and her eyes to tremble. She dared not look at him anymore, but instead looked weakly and affectionately at Tang San, who had fainted not far away. At this moment, the latter's right leg has been cut off, and one of her hands is still bandaged, probably the little finger she showed her earlier. Qianren ignored her and instead turned on the system's prompt sound. Congratulations to the host for getting married. The original female lead Xiaowu has doubled her rewards. Million-year soul, system-modified version, flame crystal stone, Q.known rapid fertilizer, python swallowing dragon diagram, sealing god stone, and Tianyuan secret realm, host already has offspring, please pay attention to protecting the offspring and distribute rewards after giving birth, a million-year soul. After system modification, there are only 2 skills available. Soul skill and summoning. There's nothing to say about this. It's placed directly on the second soul ring of the Heavenly King Tower. The soul skill in it is called the Tower Nightmare, which can directly envelop the opponent with the Heavenly King Tower and release a heart demon secret realm similar to crossing tribulations. If it sinks, the soul cannot return to its body and is deeply imprisoned in it. As for summoning, it is soul summoning, which can summon the projection of the Heavenly King Toda in the Hanhuang Heavenly Court for combat. Currently, the strength of the summoned soul is roughly equivalent to that of a super Douluo, but the specific level is unknown at the moment, as it has not been tried yet. Heteroperoxene. It can be refined by martial souls. This is the crystal of falling heart flame. After refining, the space inside the Heavenly King Tower will breed heart fire, equivalent to an enhanced version of the heavenly burning refining tower, Qinghe is rapidly applying fertilizers. It's an accelerated growth prop in a farm game, and Qianren still remembers seeing it sell for 15 yuan per pack in his past life. But now, after system enhancement, one drop can increase the growth rate of plants by 80 years, and one pack can increase it by 80,000 years. The picture of a python swallowing a dragon. It is equivalent to a fantasy version of Biming divine skill, which can absorb the soul power of the opponent and the flesh and blood of soul-eating beasts to improve one's cultivation. Fengshen stone. Can temporarily seal someone's memory, but the other person will suddenly wake up and cause great mental damage when subjected to extreme stimulation, which can easily lead to personality schizophrenia, commonly known as second personality. Tianyuan's secret realm. A small world full of rattan ghosts, killing them can earn rewards, including but not limited to soul bones, soul rings, increasing the lifespan of soul rings, soul guides, and so on. The flow rate of time is not proportional, and 1 day in Douluo continent is equivalent to 10 days in Tianyuan's secret realm. This last reward actually made Qianren a little envious. So, if I keep my pregnant wife inside for 30 days, won't I be able to have a baby? At this point in his mind, Qianren's eyes suddenly became hot. But before he could react, the system made another sound. Congratulations to the host for having another offspring. It has been determined that their mother is the original female lead Xiao Wu, and therefore, an additional reward of million-year soul rings will be given. This million-year soul ring has 4 soul skills. Qianren did not hesitate and imposed it on the Heavenly King Tower. Soul skills are a bit interesting. They are Tower Prison and Tower Prison Return, Tower Prison Seal, and Tower Prison Suppression, God Tower Prison. You can forcibly pause the sacrifice of any soul beast and imprison the soul beast body within the soul ring. Everything suffered by the soul beast body will be feedback, and it will periodically feedback to the soul beast soul that has already formed the soul ring. Soul beasts that have been successfully sacrificed can also be used on their soul rings. After successful use, their original experience will be imprisoned by soul techniques. Only 2 soul beasts can be imprisoned at the same time. After successful use, the soul ring of the sacrificed person will become a white soul ring with a lifespan of 1 year. After the resurrection of this soul beast, the soul skill will automatically expire. However, if the soul beast is resurrected, all reactions it has received or not will be returned to its body. When soul beasts are resurrected, the host will have an induction. Tower Prison. Return. It can only be used if it is built on top of the previous soul skill. Temporarily return the soul of the soul beast that has been sacrificed as a soul ring to its original form, during which the person who sacrificed cannot use the soul skill and soul bone skill. It is also effective on soul beasts that have been sacrificed. Tower Prison. Seal. Can seal one of the opponent's soul skills. Only 1 soul skill can be sealed at a time. Tower Prison. Suppression. Release the Heavenly King Tower and enlarge it into a mountain-like structure to attack opponents, which is a physical attack. This million-year soul ring is a bit interesting. When it comes to sacrificial soul beasts, Qianren's first thought was not Tang Renxue, who initially said that soul beasts were willing to anger his father to death. Wait a moment, system, what's going on with my second wave of rewards? At this moment, Qianren was suddenly taken aback, as if he had thought of something and asked the system. As is well known, rabbits can give birth to 10 at a time. Qianren. Oh no, I'm getting more and more tired of this kind of instant understanding of life. And at this moment. On the other side, Xiao Wu looked at Tang San with deep affection, and her gaze gradually became firm. 3 cuts, although I have already. I will always love you. Just speaking. Xiao Wu turned around and took a glance. Qianren seems to be lost in thought. Thousand Renxue is absorbing soul rings. After all, 100,000-year soul rings are not so easy to absorb. As for Douluo and Douluo, who recognized the six-winged angel and guarded the Dharma by Thousand Renxue's side. The last remaining Hulina. She was knocked out by the big mouth that fell from the sky by Thousand Renxue, and was dizzy to death. It is estimated that no one will know if she has done anything bad. Sacrifice. Taking advantage of the moment when no one was paying attention, Xiao Wu decisively offered to sacrifice to her beloved Sanjiao. This was the last thing she could do for her beloved. Anyway, even if she dies, she will still die by her dear Sangui's side. Just as she initiates the sacrifice here. On one side, Chen Yu's lips curved into a smile and he said, "It's just what I want. It's not in vain for me to give you so much time. Damn it. I was tricked." At the moment Xiao Wu heard this sound, she remembered the incident where she sacrificed Daming and Erming for her own initiative. But now, once the sacrifice is initiated, she can't stop it. The third soul skill, the Divine Tower Cage. Chen Yu raised his left hand, and the Heavenly King Tower emerged. The 3 soul rings, 1 red and 2 gold, immediately blinded everyone present. Sleeping Slot. Golden Soul Ring. Ghost Douluo, wow, the Golden Legend. Chrysanthemum Douluo Ghost Douluo. Not only were these 2 titled Douluo stunned, but even Xiao Wu's eyes widened. She was so big that she had never seen a golden soul ring before. Just as she was stunned, her heart was filled with fear. She only saw a golden light bathing on her body, and suddenly, a piercing pain came, and she couldn't help but scream in agony. In an instant, the whole person began to become illusory, with a soul ring emitting a demonic red light, accompanied by a forest white soul bone gradually falling out of it. One divides into 3. 100,000-year soul bones, soul beast body shells, and 100,000-year soul rings. The soul bone fell first on Chen Yu's hand. The body shell of the soul beast was bathed in golden light, forming an illusory chain with Chen Yu's 3rd golden soul ring. The last demonic red soul ring slowly drifted towards Tang San's body, and as it moved, its color seemed to have peeled off paint, scattering a little bit of starlight. In the moment it finally merged into Tang San's body, it turned into a vast white color. A soul ring with a lifespan of 1 year. Seeing the knowledgeable ghost Douluo and Kikudu Luo done, their eyes almost didn't pop out. Oh my goodness. I can actually see a soul ring that has a lifespan of 1 year in my lifetime. No, 3 cuts. The starlight falling from the demonic red soul ring gradually formed Xiao Wu's ethereal figure, which was no different from her own body. That was her soul beast soul. At this moment, her face was filled with regret and her voice was filled with desperate cries, but she could only watch helplessly as the only white soul ring disappeared into Tang San's body and appeared at the position of the 6th soul ring of the blue-silver emperor. No. You bastard. The soul of Xiao Wu cried so hard that she hit Chen Yu on the chest. However, instead of knocking Chen Yu down, she cried out in pain. Senior, this is the fire dog you want. Senior, the human face magic spider you want. At this moment, the missing pufferfish and snake spear, each holding a corpse of a soul beast, walked over with a puzzled expression on their faces. When they saw the scene, they were even more shocked. So. The corpses like mountains are. Titan apes. What style of noodles is this, which is as long as a snake and as thick as a bucket? Xishi dolphin, snake spear. Gue Douluo and Ju Douluo were both stunned when they saw them. Tsigu and snake spear are elders who have only become elders in recent years. They have seen each other before, but they are not familiar with each other. However, when Giju Douluo and his companions first joined the martial soul hall, they did indeed meet this pair of good friends who were only platinum bishops at that time. Not bad. Chen Yu's face showed a smile as he picked up an axe and chopped off the leg of the fire dog, then walked towards Tang San. What do you want to do? Upon seeing this scene, Xiao Wu Shuiying's face immediately changed and she roared loudly. I really like your fox-like smile just now. Qianren smiled slightly and slowly placed the hot dog's thigh on Tang San's broken leg. But I'm not happy with your recent action of hitting me. No. Xiao Wu Shuiying tore her heart and lungs apart, and knelt down on the ground with a thud. I beg you to let go of the 3 cuts. I can give you anything you want, I beg you. She couldn't believe how heartbroken her beloved San Kuai would be if she found out that his leg had turned into a dog leg. You know. She swore to become a god and destroy Tang San Xiao, who is pure and pure in the martial soul hall, after 3 cuts. Be good, don't be afraid, it will get better soon. Qianren smiled slightly and glanced at it. Ah, this snake spear is really good. This fire dog is old enough, and the thigh and Tang San's broken leg are very sewn together. Immediately. He didn't hesitate, using his qi to control the needle and using the legendary supreme traditional Chinese medicine technique of white bones and raw flesh, which could be revived with just 1 breath, to allow Tang San's broken leg to grow new blood and flesh, connecting with the dog leg. The nerves inside were also perfectly bridged under Qianren's soul power. The needle doesn't poke. Qianren's face showed a smile, and as he lifted his palm, the body of the human-faced magic spider also fell beside him under the drag of soul power. Disgusted, he picked up an axe and swung it over, and 10 legs of the human-faced magic spider appeared in the palm of his hand. Afterwards, Qianren grabbed Tang San's other intact arm and was about to face his shoulder, chopping it off and replacing it with the dog's paw. No, no, no. Xiao Wu's phantom suddenly woke up and quickly returned to its original form, suppressing the feeling of weakness on its body. It almost rolled over and fell to Qianren's feet, tightly holding Qianren's thighs in its arms. It collapsed and self-destructed, shouting, I beg you to let me go of my 3 cuts, Wu Wu. Whatever you want me to do, I beg you. I gave up. Daming and Erming died. Her soul ring has also been intercepted. She only has her favorite 3 cuts left. Just now, what you said about fire, observation, and crawling. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Xiao Wu, I live to be the most disgusting person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Xiao Wu, I live like I hate the most. The moon is bright and the stars are sparse, and the black magpies are flying south. Qianren stretched lazily in satisfaction and rubbed the small dance that was lying on the ground, silently shedding tears. Not bad, not bad. At this moment, she was like a cute rabbit, rubbing her subconscious head against Qianren's head while he was killing her. However, she still glanced at Tang San, who had already 5 spider claws and a dog leg, and murmured in a low, unclear voice. After the words fell, a line of clear tears slowly trickled down her cheeks and fell to the ground. Until now. She has nothing left, she only has her favorite 3rd brother. As long as San Gu is alive, she has hoped to avenge De Ming and Er Ming, and she has hoped to avenge her shame today. So, for the future of her 3rd brother, for her future revenge, she chose to endure humiliation and beg Qianren in the way she once looked down upon the most, not to cut off her 3 arms anymore. Once upon a time, she still looked down on this chubby little guy because Ma Hongjun went to those places, but now that Feng Shui is taking turns, she has actually become the person she hates the most. Hey, is this soul beast so fun? Thousand Renxue pursed her lips with a hint of jealousy and said, her figure is not as good as mine. She only has a slightly younger face than me. You don't understand. Humph. Qianren chuckled and shook his head. As for the little pink rabbit, why not keep it for fun? Is it difficult to spoil these small animals like some dog lovers, and then make them become sperm again, subverting human rule? With this in mind, Qianren rubbed Xiao Wu's head and said, you're quite well behaved. I feel much better now. If you have any soul beast friends who have been around for 100,000 years, you can introduce them to me. Qianren looked at her with a smile and said, you're welcome. Xiao Wu. With tears in her eyes, Xiao Wu lowered her head in humiliation and silently said in her heart. San Kuai, I will always love you, he will never get my heart is all yours. The rabbit still loves you the most. Her thoughts flashed through her mind, and she felt a darkness before her eyes, completely losing consciousness. Prison cage. Qianren released the martial soul of the Heavenly King's divine tower, and the third golden soul ring suddenly opened a transparent and illusory chain. One pull pulled the body shell of the little dance's soul beast into it, and the remaining starlight in the scene slowly returned to Tang San's body. I don't know how Tang San would feel when he woke up and saw that his sixth soul ring was actually the first one-year white soul ring in the history of Douluo continent. Qianren had some expectations, but the current spiritual impact was not strong enough, so he took out the sealing god stone reward from the previous system and used it against Tang San. I am looking forward to Tang San giving birth to the appearance of personality schizophrenia. With a smile on his face, Qianren waved his hand and put the bodies of Titan Ape and Sky Blue Bull Python into the system space. Let's go. Humph. Thousand Renxue snorted and glanced at the unconscious Helena beside her. After thinking for a moment, she also lifted her body and said, I don't believe it anymore. Can that stinky rabbit have the fragrance of a fox sister? She also felt that she was pregnant. For the sake of the baby in her belly, she didn't dare to act recklessly, so she had no choice but to find a peach to help correct her name. After seeing the three people walk out, the Tsigu Douluo and Snake Spear Douluo, who were guarding outside, looked at each other and then went in silently to pick up the soul beast corpse they had brought before, and then followed up. Hey, wait under the crown. At this moment, Ju Douluo, who was also guarding outside, suddenly woke up and quickly pulled Gue Douluo forward, calling out Qianren. This flower and ghost ran up. Qianren paused in his footsteps, glanced back at them, his gaze calm like water, and he didn't speak. Although the system has returned his lifespan, the 120 years of life he has lived have indeed been real. Coupled with his past life experiences and the blessing of his strength, his mood is naturally very stable. Faced with these Ghost Douluo and Ju Douluo, there is no expression on his face. It's just a ghost and a flower, he can even pick up an axe and directly chop too. Staring at Qianren with such eyes, Gue Ju Douluo thought of the scene where the bodies of the Tianqing bull python and the Titan ape had been split in half before. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and sweat profusely on his forehead. That crown, this is our saint, this. I just say it directly. Thousand Renxue snorted, feeling very displeased with Qianren's performance in front of her. Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo sweat their faces. How can these elders withstand the fight of the immortal riding on horses? If the Pope and the Apostle fight over their reports, they probably have 10 lives and not enough to die, right? Or, you can say she died at the hands of Tang Yin, a disciple of Haotian sect, understand? At this moment, Qianren suddenly spoke up and stunned the ghost Chrysanthemum Douluo, Tang Yin. A disciple of Haotian sect, but his Haotian hammer does not have a soul ring, and his soul power is as strong as that of the soul emperor. Qianren didn't explain, but said calmly, you just need to organize what I just said and convey it. Thousand Renxue, who was still humming on the side, was also taken aback when she heard these words. After careful consideration, her beautiful eyes widened and she took a cold breath. Avoiding everyone's gaze for the greatest benefit, then perfectly escaping and blaming all the risks on others, and even forcing Pope Bibidong to face Emperor Haotian again. The Holy Maiden of the Martial Soul Hall has been captured by disciples of the Haotian sect, do you mind? Shan Rua Qianren Shui, who had also read Sun Tzu's Art of War, would definitely blurt out these 3 idioms. Concealing the truth, escaping the shell of a golden cicada, and borrowing a knife to kill. Unfortunately, she had never learned before and could only silently give Qianren a thumbs up, amazing. At the same time, a hint of pride flashed deep in her eyes. Humph, isn't such a powerful man bowing under the angel skirt of this young master. My mind reaches this point. Xian Renxue's face suddenly turned slightly red and she murmured softly, "It's all your fault, you little one." Damn it. Yes. Gue Douluo and Ju Douluo didn't know why, but when they first raised their heads to ask Qinghe for someone, they felt a killing intent and were immediately scared to the point of sweating profusely. They didn't dare to fart anymore and even nodded. If we don't agree to this, Qinghe will probably pick up his axe and chop them down the next moment, and the Pope won't even know how they died. And if we tell the truth? Ju Douluo trembled all over, and this pair of good friends exchanged a glance. They didn't want to be cannon fodder for the civil war between the papal palace and the apostolic palace. Old ghost, why don't we just follow what that guy said? Ju Douluo asked tentatively. Gue Douluo nodded and both of them breathed a sigh of relief. Mainly because the six-winged angel's martial soul before Xian Renxue frightened them. After all, Douluo had previously followed Qian Sun's illness, and when Douluo entered the martial soul hall, he also met Elder Qian Daolu, who was the judge, and recognized this six-winged angel. If Qian Renxue didn't accompany them this time, they might not have just followed suit. "Hey, where are you going?" Qian Renxue carried the unconscious Hulayina and walked quickly to Qinghe's side, shoulder to shoulder, asking. She just realized that this seems to be the way out of the Star Forest, isn't it? Instead, it feels like going to another forest. "You can go back first and catch Tang Yuehua for me," Qinghe casually said. "Ah." Xian Renxue looked bewildered and asked, "Why are you catching Tang Yuehua?" "Wait a moment. Isn't the purpose of this guy just those two 100,000-year-old soul beasts and a pet rabbit? Why is this related to Tang Yuehua? Just go ahead and do it. Don't worry, after ascending to the throne in the future, your throne will definitely be unshakable." Qinghe smiled slightly and rubbed her stunning face. It's so tender. Be good. Qianren Shui. On the way back to Tiando City with the prickly porpoise and snake spear, Qian Renxue became more and more confused as she thought about it. She felt as if her CPU was about to burn down. Forget it, just ask him again later. Qian Renxue shook her head and stopped thinking about these messy things. Anyway, she believed that her child's father would not harm her and her child. And at this moment, in the core area of the starry forest, Tang San woke up quietly. Pain. It hurts too much. As soon as he woke up, he felt intense pain and almost fainted again. At this moment, his entire brain felt as if it was being squeezed and swollen to the point of exploding pain. It was only half the time before he regained consciousness. He looked around and his expression was somewhat puzzled. This is due to the use of the divine sealing stone by Qinghe before. His memory also remained on his way into the Star Forest, and he even had no memory of encountering the person from the Martial Soul Hall. So, after seeing the familiar scene before him, he scratched his head and said, "What's going on with me? Is this the Starry Forest?" He instinctively scratched his head, but in the moment he scratched, he couldn't help but take a cold breath, and his whole body was also shaken, trembling as he spread his palm out in front of him. I only saw 5 black and red spider claws on the original 5 fingers, now carrying blood. He scratched his own scalp. Sleeping slot. He was so scared that he quickly shook off his palm, and his whole body also retreated repeatedly. Accidentally, he hit the tree with his head, and his whole mind was buzzing. Is this my hand? Tang San covered his head in pain and looked at his palm from a distance, his fingertips missing for some reason. Only these 5 cold spider claws emitting black light remain. After seeing this scene, his already bewildered face became even more bewildered. How could my hands turn like this? He showed confusion on his face and tried to move his fingers, but it turned out that the spider claws on top had indeed moved along with his thoughts. Tang San. Is this the spider claw of the human-faced magic spider? But how did I become like this? He couldn't believe that his normal palm had turned into a spider claw like a human-faced magic spider. Is it a sequelae of the human-faced spider? Thinking of this, Tang San didn't dare to delay any longer and quickly walked towards the outside. No, I have to go back and ask the teacher. How could I become like this? He ran because his legs had different strength standards and there was a slight difference in height. Therefore, suddenly caught off guard, the whole person could only fall to the ground with a thud and eat shit, nibbling on a pile of soil. Tang San. Pooh. He spat out the ingredients in his mouth, which had a combination of salty and fishy flavors. He even felt it wasn't enough and wanted to run to the lake of life to rinse his mouth with the water. Pooshie. The result was that he fell again and fell to the ground, his mouth successfully filling up again. Tang San. This time, the unknown ingredient in his mouth was only left with a slowly salty odor, and the previously oceanic fishy smell had disappeared. What's going on here? Tang San spat out the ingredients in his mouth, but he still felt that his mouth was dirty and had an indescribable odor. Why can't I run now? Tang San swore that his past and present combined stupidity was definitely not as much as today. Especially when he looked down at his lower limbs, he was completely dumbfounded. I only saw that on his right leg, the originally human-like thigh had disappeared, replaced by a furry, noticeably thicker than his left leg. A dog leg. Sleeping slot. How did my legs turn into dog legs? He looked bewildered and tried to bend his knees, but couldn't do it. He could only see the dog leg kicking behind him. No, that's not right, it's fake. Tang San collapsed and cut off this thought, roaring in disbelief. I must not have woken up. How could he be such a half-human, half-beast monster, as pure as ice? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. He must be dreaming. No matter how Tang San rubbed his eyes, even if they turned red, or even knocked out his brain in steamed eggs, he became a half-human, half-beast with 5 spider claws and 1 dog leg. No. This is impossible. Tang San roared, how could it be like this? No, I have to go find the teacher. The teacher must have a solution. Thinking of this, he quickly controlled his mother to wrap around him, tying himself up and throwing himself towards the distance like a relay race. Bang! Tang San collided with a towering tree with great force, and at that moment, his humanoid silhouette was carved out from the tree. Tang San, who had been baptized by the ice and fire Liangyi eyes, was already an invincible body from all poisons. However, unfortunately, this was a toxin on his body, and the previous spider claw contained the spiritual toxin that Qianren had specially collected from the Zishi snake spear and others. Therefore, after Tang San's collision, his brain buzzed and he completely collapsed on the ground. Fainting Qianren appeared on the side with a friendly smile on his face. Don't worry, when you wake up, I will surprise you with the discovery. Your mother is gone, your father has run away, your uncle is dead, and your aunt is also missing. What will it feel like? End of this chapter.